Everybody standing. Okay, fine. Okay. Vakratunda Mahakarya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Guru Me Deva Sarvakaleshu Sarvada. Thank you.
Whether it was the then Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of India quoting the lyrics of Tirunelveli Alvada from Sami while recognizing the goodwill of Tirunelveli's iconic Irittukada Halva, or Honorable Justice Sanjay Kishan Kaul drawing inspiration from Bon Jovi's famous It's My Life in his minority opinion, music and law have always been bandmates, driving social change through creativity and innovation. A very good afternoon to one and all present here. It brings me great joy and pleasure to welcome you to International Trademark Association's pre-annual meeting reception hosted by KRIA Law, focusing on the dynamic intersection of music and intellectual property. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great honor and anticipation that we now invite Honorable Justice Mrs. Prabhara Sridevan, Ms. Gauri Kumar, Mr. Abhirup Mukherjee, and Mr. M.S. Bharat to take the stage and deliver the inaugural addresses, setting the tone for what promises to be a memorable and inspiring event to feel the beat of intellectual property. May I now invite Mr. M.S. Bharat, founder and managing partner at KRIA Law, to deliver his opening remarks.
Very good afternoon, everyone. Very good afternoon, everyone. That's much better. It's always a good conversation to have rather than a monologue. Actually, I have to confess and say that I'm quite embarrassed. Possibly as a lawyer practicing in copyright law, the Indian history and tradition is so rich in culture and music. In Tamil Nadu or across India, music has been celebrated, literature has been celebrated, copyright and creativity has been celebrated by all our kings and queens. They've always been with such reverence and great regard that respect comes first to arts, whether it is sculpture, painting, photography, Ajanta Ellora paintings, music, or poems, poetry. With such a rich tradition respecting arts over centuries together, the modern community and environment, we've kind of forgotten the respect our forefathers had given it, the true respect. So technically, we should all be jobless copyright lawyers. But unfortunately, it's not the case, because when we go to a restaurant or a bar or a pub or a hotel or any other place, or even an airplane where you have music entertaining you everywhere, unfortunately, we pay for the entry ticket, we pay for the food, we pay for the, excuse my seniors around, but for the beer and the wine and the whiskeys, but you don't want to pay for the music. We have many, many friends from the industry who are accomplished artists. So when we started off curating this event for International Trademark Association. Gauri is the South Asia representative. She'll speak more about the organization. I sit on the board for 3 years, last year, this year, and next. We are celebrating INTA's pre-annual reception now because the annual meeting is in San Diego later this year. We said, why not bring in World IP Day, whose theme is music, and bring in the pre-annual meeting reception and celebrate all of that together. So today, if you actually see, what is my connection with music apart from being a corporate lawyer? Friends of mine who know me from LKG know that I had 2 years of violin and I don't know where it is now. Thank God I took career in law rather than music. But to think back, my connection with the movie world was something where my chitti or aunt's father-in-law owned a theater in Nagapatnam, and I ran the reel behind the scenes, literally, the physical reels with the tungsten touching each other, and you had to move the tungsten so that the brightness is as good as the film being broadcasted there. Today, 26th April is celebrated every year as World IP Day, World Intellectual Property Day. Please look up World IP organization's website. The theme this year is music and IP. Look up who INTA is, International Trademark Association. It's an association with 36,000 members. I won't take away Gauri's time and speech, but more so for later. The most important part of today's event is possibly for the first time when copyright law is being discussed on music, we have live performances of music. So a round of applause for actual artists amongst us. If at all we have to celebrate anyone, it's the artists amongst us. There are at least 5, 6 to my knowledge, in no order, but order of seating. Haricharan, you can raise a hand there, a fantastic accomplished singer. Vipin, he was part of the band Parikrama. If you know Parikrama, the band in the 1990s. We have Mr. Srinivas, who is a singer. And the live performances are by Anil Srinivas and Sumesh Narayan. Of course, another artist who refused to be a part of this is my dear friend Bhargavi, who is right behind. She plays the Chitraveena. So with this few words, I can only say, with all due respect, that we as consumers, we want the iPhone but free music in it. You will pay 80,000, 1,20,000 for a beautiful iPhone. I have colleagues, juniors of mine who have better phones than I do. Everyone says that I should probably rejoin the office where I work. I'll get better phones. But they don't want to pay, not they as in they. As a consumer, we like devices, but we don't want to respect art and pay for art. It's a very sad day. We have the next 4 hours touching upon all these things. We have 4 subjects which you see up on the wall in your brochure. We are now going to spend time reading the profiles of the individuals because you have the brochure in your hand to read about each of the artists, speakers, panelists, moderators at your leisure. But we are here to celebrate the arts, artistic elements in, and the artists and the music. And why is it that the music industry is in such a state of freeze? What is the life of an artist? How does he wake up? How does she have lunch? Where does the artistic element of creativity flow? Where do they record it? How do they, produce it? Where do they distribute it, publish it? How do they make money? I have friends from different walks of life here today, but I wanted to ensure that the artist's side of the story is heard today. So very quickly, wrapping up, we have 4 topics. The first topic is about independent artists. We have 3-4 artists along with my colleague Gauri who are going to speak on that. We have a second panel with Jacob Kurian, going to speak about societies and associations of copyrights and how they play an important role in the life of artists. Third is going to be very interesting, which Komal is going to moderate on AI, artificial intelligence in music. It's a part of all our world. How is it going to be interfering with the artistic touch or the commercialization part of it? And last but not the least, I'll have to come back and eat your head on how to balance the licenses. I'll leave there with these important nuggets which you need to chew on. Are we doing enough to keep the artist and the artistic world cherished, celebrated, and elevated? With that few words, I request each of you to stay back until the last words are discussed. The time is of essence. We want to keep a tight ship on time. If you have questions, take your questions offline. Possibly the moderators will have time for 1 or 2 at best. Thank you for joining us, and have a great day, and the live music as well.
Thank you, sir. May I now invite Ms. Gauri Kumar, Senior Consultant for India and South Asia at the International Trademark Association, to deliver her opening remarks.
Thank you, Aryan, and thank you, Bharat. That was, whenever you speak, I think everybody is enthralled. And I think that's the creative in you. You might not have become a musician, but you're a very creative speaker and a very creative storyteller. So that, gives me the opportunity to segue to intellectual property. So first of all, welcome to all of the lovely people in the room. Good afternoon to everybody. And it's so nice to be here in Chennai and to see, people turn up in such large numbers. Even though the topic, sometimes people think the topic of intellectual property is very technical, but at the end of the day, I think that intellectual property is, and I'm sure you all agree, intellectual property is all about creativity and innovation. And that's really the lifeblood of humanity, and that's what we are here to discuss. So, rest assured, I'm sure the panelists and all the speakers will not get too technical. And I'm sure that everything will be, all the conversations had will be very relatable and, very enjoyable as well. So I myself look forward to learning more and hearing more from the creative community here in Chennai. And, so what is the International Trademark Association? When we're talking about promoting creativity, rewarding innovation, this is where entities like the International Trademark Association become very important. It's an association of brand owners and IP professionals who've come together, to basically talk about protecting intellectual property rights, as the name suggests, and to also, promote innovation and in turn promote economies of countries. So International Trademark Association is very, very old. We are coming up on our 146th year. When it started out, it was a US-based association. It's still US-based, but in that sense, when it started out, it was just a US association. But now as time has gone on, and as the concept of intellectual property and innovation and protection and enforcement of IP rights has become more mainstream globally, that's when the International Trademark Association became really global. And it's really helped us in our mandate, because it's very important for intellectual property rights to be harmonized. This is where it's important also for the different stakeholders of the intellectual property rights ecosystem to come together to find a platform where they can advocate for the right type of balanced laws as well. That's what makes the International Trademark Association a very special association, because we're the world's largest IP organization. And Bharat was talking numbers, so just to kind of go a little bit deeper into that, we are a 7,000 organization strong association with almost 40,000 individual members from 185 countries. So, in that sense, it's really global, and, that works to our advantage because we are able to really, as I was mentioning, balance the sentiment of the entire intellectual property and creative industry. So the world, of course, is getting very complex, as I'm sure all of you will agree. And IP rights are no longer just about legal rights. They are about innovation. They are about creating value. And these kinds of events, the kind of event we're having here before the INTA annual meeting that will happen in May, these kind of events, they give us an opportunity to connect and to build a strong IP ecosystem together. So of course this event is about networking, this event is about learning, but it's also about socializing certain concepts of intellectual property that you might not have known prior to today, or you might not have appreciated as much prior to today. So, this is a precursor to our annual meeting. It's the largest IP event that happens every year. Usually it happens in the US, but because ours is an international organization, every few years we take it outside the US. So the 2023 annual meeting took place in Singapore. And since we are the world's largest IP association, it's only obvious that our annual meeting is the world's largest IP event every year. We, in the annual meeting that's supposed to happen in San Diego, and you can see some images up on the screen, we are expecting about, it says conservatively 10,000 individuals from the global IP community, but I think internally we are very confident that we'll get up to 15,000 members of the IP community from all over the world who will join this very important event. And I strongly encourage you, even if you are not a lawyer, if you are a representative of a brand, if you are a person from the creative industry, please come to the annual meeting. Please be part of the conversations that we are having there. And I was just mentioning to someone that the International Trademark Association is a misnomer now. We are not just about trademarks. We are about all IP rights, including copyrights, performers' rights, and so on. And IP rights, the different kinds of IP rights are not mutually exclusive. So of course it makes sense that our community as a whole is looking at all different kinds of intellectual property rights. And we have a very strong foothold in India as well, in India and South Asia to be specific. So since we are a member-driven organization, the work that INTA does is also member-driven. We have various committees. Our members in India are extremely active. It's a very, very vibrant IP community that we have in India, and they are contributing to the mandate of the International Trademark Association every single day. Bharat very, very ably represents our membership base in India. He's on the board of directors, and there are so many members from India, either IP professionals working in firms or corporate representatives who are very passionate about IP. They want to contribute to IP advocacy. They want to contribute to building a vibrant intellectual property ecosystem in the country and in South Asia. So this is becoming a member of INTA will give you a chance not only to be visible, but also to make an impact in building the IP, the IP ecosystem. So I'll just very, very quickly just, take you through the, maybe just one or two slides, if we can go to the next slides. So for all the, technical people in the room, I promise this is the only technical part of INTA and IP that I will get into. We have various tracks. We have, not just regional IP updates, but we have specific sessions for the in-house practitioner community. We have a patent series as well. So, I will stop here. I know I've sort of overshot my time, but please do consider, as Bharat was mentioning, looking up what intellectual property, International Trademark Association is. And please, look up our annual meeting that's happening in San Diego in May 2025. try to come to the annual meeting if your resources permit and your, your companies allow you to, and just try to experience what an annual meeting is about, and I promise you will not be disappointed. So I'll just stop there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your invaluable insights into the work that INTA does. May I now invite Mr. Abhirup Mukherjee, Assistant General Counsel for ITC Limited, to deliver the special address.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Honorable Justice Sridevan, Bharat, Gauri, distinguished members of the audience. It is indeed a privilege for me to be here on stage today, and a privilege for my organization, ITC Limited, to support this event. I recall years back when I used to be regular in the movie theaters, we would have, I still think we have those messages, those anti-piracy messages, where it says that art is someone's baby. Do not indulge in piracy. So that's something that drew or pulled a chord in my heart. And when I went back to law school, I started thinking that the favorite software for pirated movies that point of time, I don't know whether it's still the same, was torrent. So people would download stuff on torrent and proudly proclaim that we watched the movie for free. I think that, to my mind, as I stand here today, is a cardinal sin. And as Bharat said, every time we encourage piracy and we ourselves support piracy, we not only disrespect the artists, the musicians, all the creative people who are such an important part of our society, but we do a disservice to ourselves and will knowingly or unknowingly encourage criminals, because piracy is not only about art. Piracy, when you take it to the corporate perspective, and I have to bring it because I am a corporate in-house lawyer, that again, infringement, lookalikes, counterfeit, all these issues we deal with every day. We try to go after all sorts of criminal elements in the society who are doing all of this, generating illegal money, and taking away, as on one side, the hard-earned work that the artists, musicians, and all the creative people do, the hard-earned or the hard work from the corporate side, and also a lot of revenue for the government, which if everything were to be sold or every commodity that was traded was genuine, the element of tax that goes to the exchequer every day would go up by leaps and bounds, and that would benefit the society. So, of course, Gauri spoke about INTA. We will have the wise words of Justice Sridevan. I will keep it short and sweet. Thank you so much to Bharat for organizing this. Thank you, everyone, for coming here, and we'll all spend our time taking the valuable inputs from the panel. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Honorable Justice Prabha Sridevan, retired judge of the Madras High Court and former chairperson of the Intellectual Property Appellate Board, to deliver the inaugural address.
Good evening, everyone. I'm very grateful to have been invited here to give the inaugural address, and a bit surprised as well, because it's 12 years since I retired from the IP scene. But IP scene won't let me retire, I think. And I'm grateful. I enjoy the buzz. Today is a kind of a tri-celebration. World IP Day, then INTA, and I think also KRIA. My congratulations to everybody. I didn't know what I was going to say. I'm not going to talk law. After 13 years, I think I've become makkal or aam janta. So my view will be only from that point of view. It seems Coleridge, when he woke up from his opium-ridden sleep, he wrote in Xanadu did Kubla Khan, and that's how the poem came. For me, sleep doesn't come easy, and last night, tossing and turning, a song came to me, and I knew what I was going to tell you. Now, Bharat spoke about balancing. Yes, we have to balance, but what do we have to balance? And consumers, what role does the consumer play? Mr. Charan, Hari Charan, I have seen you on TV, okay? And when they come to the finals, they all ask for the audience to give them marks. And that's how they become number one. So there is as much a part played by the consumer for the song to become a hit. If there was no consumer, nobody to listen to a record, then that music director won't get another chance, right? So what share does the consumer have in the pie is something that I wanted to think of. And a song came to me. That song is safely sung by, composed by, acted by people who are there. So I am safe. Okay? If Tamil Telugu people will know this song, those who don't know, you must see it on YouTube. It is called Kalyana Samayal Sadam. Okay? In that, Maya Bazaar, Gadotkachan will come, and then there'll be this array of food, and he will eat it, cleaning up the whatever the cooks had cooked for the next day's dinner. The tune is excellent. It's almost like marching. It's a lovely tune. And Tiruchi Loganathan, who has sung it, I don't think anybody else could have done as much justice as he did. But all of you place your heart and tell me, will you hear the song without seeing Rangarao before you? You can't. And the laddus flying inside the mouth. That the enjoyment of the song is composed of all this. So I think it's a very, very tricky job for the lawyers to assess how much goes where. It's not just the composer. Maya Bazaar was G. Ramanathan, I'm not sure, I don't know. But anyway, that director, Ghantasala, yes, Ghantasala Venkateswara. He is also not around, so it had all good songs. All the songs were good, but this song especially, the visual appeal, visual appeal means immediately you'll think of a woman, but no woman, just one huge giant of a man eating laddus. And that is part of the enjoyment of the song. So how do you do that? What right does how is the right quantified into economic value? What share does the public have? I told Bharat, you're taking a great risk in inviting me, because for me, public interest is always this, it's always hovering around, and I always think of that. For us, the consciousness about rights over creation came very late. For us, I mean Indians, because our elders never thought of it. I'm not saying they were great for that or anything, but they never thought of it. So we are learning something new. And when we learn, I think we should also learn wisely. And I hope your discussions that will follow will guide you to decide wisely, not in an exclusionary fashion, but in an inclusive fashion. Yes? And then one more message before I sign off. March is the month Women's Day is celebrated. Yes? Bertha Benz could not put her name as a co-owner of the patent. And it was Carl who took all the credit. And that's how it has been. I think women innovators, women creators, women names should be equal to, if not more than the others. With that, thank you very much, Bharat.
Thank you, ma'am. I would now like to request Mr. Bharat to felicitate our dignitaries on stage. Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to invite you all to this exciting event on IP and music, a space where law, rights, and creativity converge. Music has the power to inspire, to connect, and to shape cultures. But behind every melody, every lyric, and every composition, there's legal framework and rights that safeguard the work of artists, producers, and labels. Today, we have an incredible line of distinguished panelists and performers who will shed light on the intricacies of intellectual property in the music industry. We encourage you to engage, observe, and take back meaningful insights from these discussions. Just to give you a brief overview of today's event, we have 4 panel discussions interluded by live performances. In the interest of KRIA Law Standard Time, each panel discussion will be about around 30 minutes. We request you to reserve your longer questions at the end of the evening reception at 6:30. Without further ado, let's dive into our first panel discussion. We now have a panel discussion on the topic rights of independent artists, labels, and producers. To moderate this discussion, we have with us Ms. Gauri Tirmurthy, partner at KRIA Law, a seasoned expert in intellectual property law. She brings invaluable expertise to today's conversation. Now let's extend a warm welcome to our esteemed panelists for today's discussion. Mr. Anil Srinivasan, a national award-winning classical pianist and entrepreneur. He is renowned for his contributions to arts and education. From one musical expert to another, let's now welcome Mr. Sumesh Narayanan, an award-winning classical percussionist. He expertly blends tradition with innovation in mridangam. Moving from rhythm to melody, our next panelist is someone whose voice has mesmerized audiences for over 2 decades, Mr. Hari Charan. A celebrated playback singer, he has recorded over 2,000 songs in multiple Indian languages. Now let's shift our focus to the world of media and entertainment with our final panelist, Mr. Balasubramaniam P. A media expert with over 23 years of experience across print, television, radio, and music production. He is the station and sales head of Fever FM Radio 1 network. We request you all to refer to page number 4 of the booklet for a more detailed background information on the panelists. With such incredible panel, we now look forward to an enriching discussion. And with that, I hand it over to Gauri ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. I thank each of you for having found the time to be with us today. I have an incredible panel here with me, extremely talented and well sought after independent artists. And I have a very formidable media personality who has been through the entire spectrum of media affairs. My earlier speakers have prepared a very nice context for today's conversation. So basically, we are celebrating music this year, this month, and today. And here, we can't think of anyone better than the panel that we have here. Each of them is an epitome of music personified. May I start with Haricharan? So, you are an extremely well sought after playback singer. Everyone knows you. I think you started your life at 17. Your music, the movie Kadal is film, unforgettable. I've heard it any number of times. So would you like to share your journey with us? And then we'll move on to the copyright part of it.
Definitely. Hello to everyone. Feels overwhelming to be here. I've never been a person who has thought of such discussions, and I've never been a part of such, but really glad to be here and to share my views as well. I have had a very different journey. I've traveled through different styles of music since I was a child. I was put into early classical training, which is a norm in Chennai, in a family like mine. And then I slowly branched into films, and then I've been juggling both kinds of music, and I also did my engineering, I also did my MBA, and I've been trying to combine all the skill sets I have, and I've been trying to be a good musician who can go for a long way. And I've had such amazing friends and musicians who have had the chance to work with. So that's my journey. Thank you.
Let's give him a big hand. Sumesh, can I trouble you with the same question? You have gone through the gamut of Carnatic music, like the others on the stage. Would you like to share your journey in brief, please?
Yeah, like Hari pointed out, most South Indian households, require you to either dance or sing, or both. And so this type of training starts very early in your life, and it was no different for mine. I started learning and I started associating myself with Carnatic music from when I was 8, and I still do. And someday I think I'll make the art proud. But all this while, it's been a wonderful journey of just observing and assimilating. And I've also had the privilege I went to a school called St. John's English School and Junior College, and when one of these teachers one day came to the school and asked if any of us played any instruments, and I said, yes ma'am, I play the mridangam, and she's like, no, we're talking about the guitar or the keyboard or the drums. So that's when I realized, as far as I was in school, or as long I was in school, I needed to sort of find a different language to vocabularize my ideas, my artful ideas. And so I actually branched out to other forms of music. I started listening to a bunch of other music. And so that way I was able to pick up some other instruments along the way. Mm-hmm. And this dialogue between my Carnatic training and these other forms of music, these other different languages that I was coming across, is a constant journey that I find myself in.
You've become a very global musician, in the sense your music is very global, I believe.
I'd like to think my understanding is global. I don't know if my music is global yet.
That's cool. Let's give him a good hand. Anil, over to you, please. Please share your journey. I see you wearing two hats. Educator and musician. I don't know which one of them is superior to the other, but I do know that whatever you do is of extremely high and fine quality.
See, the great advantage to having my hairstyle is that you can wear multiple hats. I also thought, Gauri, that you're asking us in a certain order that you've kept me and Bala for the last. I'm going to question on the sequencing of that a little later. I've had the great privilege of working with both these wonderful musicians. So I can tell you that all their humility aside, they're absolutely world-class global musicians we have on stage. This is so that you say nice things about me later. The music side of me is that, I was the South Indian boy who started playing the piano. Therein, most people already decided that I was a gone case, as we say in Chennai. What is he doing playing the piano instead of something proper like the mridangam? But, I was credited largely for bringing it kicking and screaming into the Carnatic Sabha. I think I'm the only Pallavi playing pianist who brings the piano into Parthasarathi Swami Sabha. So, try saying that as a tongue twister. The other reason that I'm here, Gauri, as you know, is that KRIA law is my representation formally, and therefore I did not have a choice. But that brings the other hat that you spoke about, the music side, and I've had the privilege of working with people like Srini ji, who's sitting right here. I mean, many of the musicians here. Somewhere the piano has unlocked multiple things. The piano has 88 keys, so it unlocks multiple things. But I will say that the greater part of my journey has been in education. I created 2 initiatives, one called Rhapsody, which takes music, but uses music to teach STEM and teach other subjects, the whole idea of interdisciplinarity in thinking, because my education, like Hari, like Sumesh, is in something different from music, was in neuroscience. And that Rhapsody by itself works with, as of today, works with about 4,77,000 children. And the other initiative, which I started just 3 years ago, was linking students in middle and high school directly with universities worldwide on matters of research, getting to know their pathways through project-based learning, where Bharat became associated, became my lawyer rather than just a friend. And because there's a lot of intellectual property issues within that, on how students create original ideas. There are students who are as young as 14, 15 creating original work on our platform. And we are going through this whole process of also understanding how do you protect them and their ideas, because they're asking us these questions. In fact, this morning I had a message from somebody saying, I've created a patent for a new process for civil engineering, and until you can help me with getting a patent for it, I'm not comfortable even if you give me a certificate through your platform, right? And this is a 14-year-old discussing patents with me today. That's how relevant it's become. But that's the other hat that I wear. I'm, of course, a university professor as well. But I'm very humbled, honestly, to be on stage with the wonderful people that I've had the privilege of performing with quite a few times. Sumesh is not as humble as he looks. Thank you.
For those who don't know, Anil approaches education through music in his Rhapsody. That is something mind-boggling, mind-blowing. Please give him a big hand. Bala, over to you. It's great to have you on this panel today.
Yeah.
Very proud to say that Radio 1 is probably the only channel which launches, celebrates independent artists. Please.
I'm rather the odd man out among these people, literally, because I have seen all my life listening to these people, getting the best of music from these people. And today I'm feeling really, I don't know what to say, but I literally love these 3 people who are sitting beside me. Because I once met this gentleman back in Dubai. I told this word that if at all I can actually touch your voice, I'll be the blessed person in this world. That's what I told him. I don't know whether he will remember. Yeah. Sumesh is, I always remember Kamal Haasan whenever I actually see Sumesh, because he's so multi-talented, and I think he's the best person to express music in whatever form available, I would say. And Anil is like, he's a very different person when it comes to approaching, education is the best way, actually, he has always chosen this. And I always have a lot of respect for the way in which he actually deals with music, the way in which it has to be, sent across in a two-way communication. Okay, coming back to me, I have to talk something about myself. So, I've been in the industry for the last 23 years. Certain people I know, perhaps suddenly people would think that, I've started my career with radio in 2007. I started my life with Radio Mirchi. All these years, I've even tried to leave radio. Radio has not left me, to be very precise with you. So that's the way in which the power of that medium has actually given back to me, and what I've learned today is it's only because of that medium. There have been a lot of, I would say competition, or rather, ways in which this medium can be killed, etc., etc. But believe me, it's like a, what do you call, it never say die attitude of this medium is the best way I could say that we have actually come through a lot of things, but still we are in the minds of people, even today, in whatever form. Among all the radio brands, whomsoever actually you guys have actually listened to or listening to, please believe that the most powerful medium which you don't have to pay a penny, underline a penny, till today is radio. Okay, that's the power of radio, and it will be like this, I'm pretty sure. And what we have actually done in Radio 1, as Gauri said to me, that we have done a lot of things over the years. We're the only national English radio network which has actually supported English music in particular. Of course, we have Fever, we have Radio Nasha, we have Punjabi Fever. All these brands actually, catering to different audiences. But the critical part is we have always wanted to support the independent artist and be the voice for them and support them in the biggest way possible. And a lot of them actually have come really amazing, in an amazing way in this life. And most critically, last but not the least, is we are looking forward for a lot of people who will have an interest to make good really in a long way in the format of becoming an independent artist. If at all you have to actually become one, just listen to what these guys are saying. The most critical part is hard work only brings you there. There's no shortcut. Thank you.
Thank you, Bala. Haricharan, may I request you to share some of your thoughts on copyright, your rights on your own music, whether you face challenges with regard to your IP rights. Have you ever been embarrassed because of that at any point of time? Were you ever made to sign any agreements? Some take on that.
So even before I got into cinema, Indian film music, I was a classical musician doing concerts, and I was doing a lot of non-film work. I've recorded so many devotional albums and other music. But once I got into films, the basic system was you go and sing a song, you get paid then and there. So that was the system which was taught to us by our seniors. It was already there. No problem. So you just do your hard work, you give your best, you just hope that the movie does well, and then you come out. But recently, I think post 2010, 2011, 2012, there was this talk about copyrights, and suddenly everyone was talking about it. And I had to do my Googling, and we all heard what Javed Akhtar Saab spoke about, and then there was a law passed which had to be recognized by everyone. So that was when I started to educate myself about IP and copyrights and what does a singer get. Is a singer even in the equation? No, he was not in the equation, he or she, but we were put into the equation. So, and then a lot of corporate people were speaking about it, including musical seniors like Srinivas sir, they were giving advice on how to do this. But now they have arranged a deal with the labels and the collection societies and all that. So that is the whole idea of it. Since we are talking about independent artists, so independent artist is someone who's actually not backed by any major label. But the definition of an independent artist has changed. There is a lot of preparation, there is a lot of backing which goes into an independent artist nowadays. So I would basically like to call an independent artist a non-film artist right now. That's how I see it. When he or she is associated with the film, there is a different ecosystem. And when he's doing everything by himself, he or she, he's a one-stop shop. He makes the music in his studio, approaches a publisher for publishing, or else he might do it in his own way. But I see a lot of success rate with independent artists who work with a label, because they are able to see the numbers. Because in today's music ecosystem, it's so hard to get your work noticed outside if you don't have proper promotion, marketing budgets. It's very, very hard to get, even if it is the best music which you do, it's very hard to get the end user to listen to your song amidst all the traffic. So I see a lot of success rate with very, very good independent artists have come forward, and they have been picked up by these amazing labels, and they're doing great work. And I see a paradigm shift happening from films to independent music. Independent music artists' videos are clocking numbers more than the film numbers nowadays. So it's really, really heartwarming to see that. I see independent music is the future, because in films, you are just a part of the system. And in films, there is someone who drives the movie. It might be the superstar, it might be the heroine, or it could be the story, but there is never the importance given to the singer in that system. So I see independent music as a means for a singer or a musician to have his or own identity. So that is how I see independent music and IP rights here.
That's great to know, Haricharan. We're really running out of time, but may I quickly ask for some nuggets on the same matter from Anil, Sumesh, and Bala, please.
So, I agree with Hari. I think it's a very interesting time for independent music. I'm looking at Santosh specifically when I'm saying this. Because I think the kind of success that you've had with Sai, for example, is great validation, not only of Sai, but the great work that labels like Think Music are doing. But all the more, I think some very important questions are coming up. We are living at a time where social media explosion and copyright is being interpreted as right to copy, right? So it means that anybody and everybody is using stuff, right? They're making reels. I think many people here understand Tamil when we say that when we were young, reel udradhu means something else, right? And today that seems to be people are saying, Anna, how many reels are you on? And it's a very, very strange scenario. I'm leaving this my part of this panel discussion with 3 questions, which I'm hoping through the course of the day we have such esteemed people will be able to answer. One is, where does the independent artist really even stand, right? I mean, the point is, it's very easy for me now in hindsight to say, oh, I made all this wonderful stuff. I was just showing Gauri something just before this panel. So I get a message this morning. So a lot of my music has been used by a lot of dancers, right? I don't know whether to feel happy about it or sad about it, because many of them are also interpreting it in ways which have nothing to do with the music that I've composed, right? And then people are commenting on that, and then coming and criticizing me, right? One of the things therefore I messaged back somebody who's used my music without any permission,
And I said, how did you get this track? You know, because you must have got somewhere the original music track to be able to mix it like this and stuff like that. And she has sent me a message which I read out to Gauri just before this panel, which says, congratulations, your music has been licensed under Creative Commons. Okay? And I never licensed it under Creative Commons. And this particular track, I own the rights for. So I was very surprised. And as one lonesome, bald musician sitting here without ecosystem and Santosh to protect me, right? This is the truth. I have MS Bharat, right? Where does it leave the independent musician? Because the question of rights, you know, people making money off of your music and all that comes when you're super successful. For the majority of independent musicians, which is 99% of independent musicians, this question doesn't even arise. And today, let me also tell you equally the other question, related question, right? I think Rupa from IPRS was asking me this, why always Bollywood? The only way in which an independent musician or a musician gets noticed via digital media today is if they are able to replicate, remix, duplicate, reduplicate, or triplicate some form of film music. Only then do they get the virality that they need or the bacteriality that they need in order for them to grow. I mean, if they're going to make their own independent music, very few people are actually interested, unless I think music gets into it, unless the Coke studio gets into it and then sort of amplifies that message. So that's the second question, right? We are discussing so many rights for independent musicians, but the point is, independent musician also cannot survive without the right to copy. That's the other second point. And on top of it, the third question, what determines fair use? I was asking Atul and Sanjay ji this just before this as well. Because fair use is again becoming a very loose definition, right? We play at a wedding, there's a slight deviation, you can play it at a wedding. A certain kind of wedding you can't use it at, but certain kinds of weddings you can play this music, right? Certain kinds of venues, you can, I think she's coming there to say you need to shut up, so I will pass the mic on to somebody else. Because we are on KRIA standard time, which means Bala, you're up next, I think. Okay. Sumesh and Bala. So these are the three questions. One is, where is the independent musician today in terms of, we don't really have access to the kind of machinery we need to protect our music. Second, even if we do, unless we are using already copyrighted music, it's very difficult for independent musicians to have any sort of say in anything. And the third is, what determines fair use, right? How can we make this an ecosystem conducive to independent musicians? I think we are all the time thinking about how to protect rights, but my point is, how do we also make it possible for a greater number of independent musicians to survive and survive reasonably well?
Very pertinent questions indeed. We hope we find the answer by end of the day today. Sumesh and Bala, we have just a couple of minutes. I'm sorry, we're slightly running out of time.
I won't take much at all, Bala sir.
Any thoughts on your on rights?
No, I have nothing more to add than to thank the the moderator and the committee of this whole session. I think more of this should happen, especially for independent artists like me, who has just about enough time to think about what kind of music he wants to make and and how to go about it.
You should concentrate on your own creativity rather than
it's
worry
also
about your rights.
Well, that's one. The second part is I don't really understand much. I mean, I'm not even ashamed to say that. I mean, I'm focused on, I'm focused on music. I want to be able to play the kind of instruments I do. I want to be able to think about the kind of music I do. I've been going through about 25 and counting years in training music. And I do not expect you to understand what goes on in my head. So at some level, I think if I'm one side of the coin, can you be the other side of the coin and work together where I'm also constantly educated, but like you say, you're also constantly updated on what we are able to do and want to do, etc., etc. Thank you.
Thank you, Sumesh, for those nice words.
See, I would be very honest in this approach. When you actually say you're an independent artist, you're coming into a business. You're into a business cycle where you will compete with record labels, the kind of content you actually come out with. The most difficult part of a creative person is to talk business, because it doesn't actually, go. These are two different tracks, actually. I will give you a small example of my own life. I was completely a programming person in radio. And suddenly one fine morning I said that, let me try this business, how do we do it? And actually, caught hold of how this is done and went on with it. The critical part actually of a creative person who actually has dealt all his life with swaras and notes and everything is to go and talk business to anyone who is sitting opposite. Having said that, they have to start realizing actually a fact that, like, you cannot ignore the fact that you are jumping into a business atmosphere, number one. Number two, when you jump into a business atmosphere, the most critical part that will come to you is you will be asked the most uncomfortable questions of weighing your talent or weighing your skill set vis-a-vis a money component. It's like, ayyo, ennadhu vandu vittu povude. This kind of a notion always comes into your mind. But at the end of the day, when Satish or Sanjay sir or any of these people who have actually dealt with these things all their life, the only realization that actually an independent artist should have is that I am becoming a buying component or a business component. If this point gets realized by anyone in this room to start anything with respect to independent music, you will actually have a safe journey. That's the way I would rather sum it. Okay?
That is so heartening, Bala. And even Haricharan's words where you said that things have improved and there's a system in place now. On that note, we will end this first panel. I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. No, please go ahead.
It's nice to have an ecosystem of lawyers, of AI tracking who is using our music. We need to have a team. Every team, every independent artist needs that to have a good check on how our music is used. So that's it.
So thank you very much. And I know Haricharan is on his way out. I think he has a program today. Thank you so much for joining today. And thank you all of you for sharing your pearls of wisdom. This is the tip of the iceberg and much more to follow later.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. That was quite an interesting session. We now request Gauri ma'am to proceed with the felicitation.
Without further ado, as we are indeed running on KRIA Law Standard Time, may I please welcome the next panelist, moderated by Mr. Jacob Kurian, Senior Partner at KRIA Law, on the role of copyright societies and music organizations. This panel comprises of Ms. Rampa Banerjee from Indian Performing Rights Society, Mr. Vipin Mishra from the Music Composers Association of India, Mr. Srinivas, an award-winning playback singer and former director of the Indian Singers and Musicians Rights Association, and our very own Mr. Jacob Kurian.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you how fortunate we are here to have such a wonderful list of panelists. We have representing IPRS, Rampa Banerjee. She's a complete professional, 25 years of experience, and running all over India, doing workshops, giving trainings. She has come all the way from Bombay just for this. Let's have a round of applause for her. We also have with us representing MCAI, Vipin Mishra, He's a national award-winning composer, producer, and we have dragged him again all the way from Bombay to join us. Let's have a round of applause for Vipin. And most special for all of us is Mr. Srinivas. He is a national award-winning playback singer, composer, and since he was so busy, he has moved to Muttukadu to get away from the rough and tumble of Mylapore, and we have dragged him from Muttukadu all the way here to join us. Let's have a round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, the topic for discussion today I read was role of music organizations and copyright societies. It didn't look so exciting, so I held it further away and read it again. It still didn't look exciting, and I said, now what do I do? So I said, the only way is let me have a chat with our 3 panelists. So I gave them a call. And after speaking to the 3 of them, I realized that they had shown me a completely different world. It was nothing of what I had imagined. It is something for every independent artist to know, which is why we have all of you here. They have shown me a completely different ecosystem to protect and serve music creators, music owners, and music publishers. Let me get them to explain this to you so that, first of all, let's get to know who they are and what they offer to the musicians. So the first question which everyone asks us as lawyers and otherwise is that there are so many organizations. There is IPRS, MCAI, ISAMRA, PPL, SIMCA. The question is, which should I join? I don't know what is for whom. So let me first ask Rumpa, what is IPRS and who is it for?
Firstly, thank you so much for having me here. I'm really humbled. And thank you, KRIA Law, thank you, Bharat, for giving this opportunity to talk about IPRS. And I'm a bit nervous because I have my mentor in my room, Atul sir. So before talking about IPRS, I will tell you what IPRS and my reaction about IPRS, because I come from the media entertainment background, as you kind of introduced me, where I always saw IPRS as a troublemaker. So after 20 years, when I got the opportunity to work for IPRS, and when IPRS reached out to me, because there was and still there is a lot of misconception about IPRS. So then the HR reached out to me, Rumpa, there is an opportunity. Now IPRS is growing in leaps and bounds, but what we realized is to build the brand, clear the doubts and misconception about IPRS. So will you agree? Do you find this position interesting? Would you like to build the brand IPRS? I said, IPRS? I don't know, I'm not sure, because I have a lot of different idea about IPRS. Then I studied about the brand. Then I realized the cause for which IPRS works. Then I said, yes, this is what I should be doing, because I've always wanted to work for a cause. And I said, after being in media, IPRS is the place I should be in. So why IPRS? Now coming to your question, IPRS is the place, is a starting point for anyone in the music industry who is creating original works. IPRS is the only government-authorized copyright body in India representing author, composers, and publishers of music. As per our copyright law, there are distinct bodies representing different segments of creators. Like as you mentioned, there is ISAMRA, which is representing the performers and the musicians. There is IPRS, which is representing the authors, composers, and publishers. There is another body which is representing the publishers in literary works, publishers and publications, books. And then there is RMPL also, which is representing the sound recordings. So there are different bodies who have been assigned to represent different segments of original creators. And IPRS is in the pivot of everything, because you know how popular music is in our country, and yeah, it plays a very big role, and we'll talk more about it.
Thank you. Thank you, Rumpa. Now, Mr. Srinivas, you represent ISAMRA here. In short, who is it meant for?
ISMRA is meant for singers and musicians. That's it.
Okay.
That's a generalization. Yeah.
That is, Mr. Srinivas, crisp and short and clear. That's exactly what...
It's a royalty society. It's a rights society, rather.
Yes.
Yeah. And we collect royalties for singers and musicians.
Yeah. So you basically specialize in singers and musicians, and it's a registered copyright
It is
society.
a registered copyright society, yes.
Yeah. So we've got 2 registered copyright societies. Now we have Vipin Mishra representing MCAI. Vipin, what is MCAI and who does it represent?
The MCAI is Music Composers Association of India. To keep it crisp and short like sir here, it's again a government-registered union body which takes care of the interests, safeguards the rights of the composers. So if you are a composer who composes original works, MCAI is the association in India which you could possibly join and safeguard your rights, safeguard your copyrights, and a lot many other things which we can get into as I explain what Music Composers Association of India does.
Thank you, Vipin. So we have some clarity here. We've got singers with ISMRA, we've got composers with MCAI, and music creators, owners, publishers with IPRS. Now, Rumpa, the next question is, the first question was, which should I join? But the most important question is, why? Why should I join? What is the benefit for me? So can we educate the audience as to why should anyone join the IPRS? What do they get out of it?
Yeah, so a lot of time creators, they reach out to us, independent artists mostly, author composers, asking that should I join IPRS? I'm just starting my career, I've just released one song. So should I join now, or when I'm popular, I'm seeing monies coming to me from different platforms, I should join IPRS? Or whether at all should I join a society like IPRS? My one word to them is that joining IPRS is not a choice. It's a compulsory thing for anyone serious about building a career in music. Yeah, if you think that, okay, I will create few songs to impress my girlfriend, I will just release it on my YouTube channel just to impress my friends in college, that's different. But if you're planning a career in music, it's not a choice that whether I join IPRS or not. For example, now if you are a citizen of India, you have your Aadhaar number, right? You cannot say, okay, I will decide whether to apply for Aadhaar or not. Then your identity and citizenship is in question. Similarly, if you are a creator, you have to be part of a society, because when you join a society, the first thing is that royalty comes last. Royalty is the last thing which happens when your music is popular, it is playing everywhere. As Srinivas said that we are collection society, so we collect the royalty on your behalf and we pay you. But that is the last leg of the thing. First is that ensuring your identity as a creator. Today I was speaking to Vipin sir, and Vipinji was saying that he has worked with musicians in Zaskar, in Ladakh. They are all artists, they are creators, but their identity is not visible to any of us because they are making music in one corner of the country, very remote corner. And there is nowhere registered that they are artists, composers, lyricists. So when you join a society, you get an IPI number. So there can be 10, 20, 50 artists with the same name. And so much of content being uploaded, so much of music being played, and then your revenue being generated. How do you link the song to the right owner and the holder? So your IPI number ensures, because like an Aadhaar number, there are no duplicates IPI number. So today Rumpa Banerjee will have her name, her IPI number, and that ensures your entity as an artist. So anywhere when you're uploading your metadata, you put your IPI number. So the first reason why you should join a society is to safeguard and establish your identity as a creator. Second comes the most important, one of the very important thing is metadata. Today, artists are creating music out of passion, but they are very negligent about the metadata because today there is no physical evidence about your work. Everything is on the cloud, on the net. then there is high chances of the spelling being wrong, the credits being wrong. So where is that one place where you can control the metadata? It is your society, your copyright society like IPRS. Because when you join a society as a member, the first thing that you do after you become a member is immediately register your songs. Don't delay on that. So when you register the songs in a society like IPRS, your metadata is clear and complete. So tomorrow, even if there is an ambiguity in any of the streaming platforms, your data is correct in the society, so when the revenue is flowing back to us, we can pay it back to you. So second is ensuring your credits. First is identity, second is credit. And now if these two are in place, royalties will automatically flow back to you, and we are there to ensure, to monitor, to license, to negotiate. Because as an artist, it's not possible for you to monitor where all your music is playing. It's impossible. It's not possible for you to individually go and negotiate with YouTube or platforms or like even a small pub which is playing music here. So that you focus on your creativity. Let the society as a representative body, we are a representative body for you on your behalf to ensure your rights are protected, your monies are collected, monitored, and we pay you the royalties. One more thing is that a society beyond collection, it plays as a community. It's like we are a member-driven society. So our thing is we are for the member, by the member, of the member. Our board of directors are our members. We are just executors as employees. So you decide the policies. You define how the society will work. So we are an extended arm, extended family. We do a lot of welfare programs. As a society, we disburse medical aids to ailing members who cannot fund for their medical expenses. During COVID, we distributed emergency relief funds so that members who are not earning enough, their families can run. We do a lot of, as you mentioned, we do a lot of outreach programs to educate our members. Today, we have offices across India. Any confusion, any help you need, you can just call us and we will help you to register. We will help you to educate. And we are currently also doing a lot of initiatives where we are trying to showcase your talent globally. We have launched initiatives where we are creating songwriting camps, we are doing performances. We launched IPRS Stage to bring the talent from remote corners to the urban audience, to the kind of metros, and also a lot of things happen within a society, and once you join, you become part of all of those.
Thank you, Rumpa. That was very illuminating. And see the number of things, this is exactly what the individual artists were asking about. How can they be protected? How can they concentrate on their music? Now, Mr. Srinivas, what about Isamra? What does it do to benefit your members?
I think Rumpaji has explained what societies do. So, of course, IPRS is for music directors and
owners,
lyricists, and of course the music companies, I would say. That's what IPRS represents. Isamra represents singers and musicians, and we protect their rights or our rights. I'm a singer too, so. It's after 2012 that singers and musicians were given this right to royalty. As I was mentioning earlier, it was in 1977 when Justice V.R. Krishna said in his, I don't know whether it's a judgment or something else, an opinion, he said that, I think Madam Prabha Sridevan also said that, whatever you do, the singer, she mentioned about singers, so that's why I'm mentioning. Justice V.R. Krishna said, the composer can compose, and the lyric writer can write fantastic songs, but it is through the voice of the singer, he mentioned Lataji, of course, the greatest of them, that the song reaches the hearts of the audience. So I cannot fathom why the singer is kept out of the equation. And people like Lataji did fight for a long time, but it is in 2012 that the Copyright Amendment gave the rights to singers. And Isamra was formed around 2013-14, if I remember. And it has taken us so many years. It's only last year that we've got some monies coming to us. Earlier, it used to trickle in thousands and 2000s and all that. Right now, thanks to the agreement reached between the music companies and Isamra, we've been able to distribute some good royalties to all the singers. This is after so many years, you know. So singers have finally seen some money. It's beyond the money, you know. We feel happy about that. When I see that I'm getting even 10 rupees for a song that I sang in 1994, which didn't.
All this.
What possibly can we do? Okay. May I just take a few steps back to first highlight a few verticals. Now, IPRS is a performance royalty society, organization, as is Isamra, and as they rightly said, IPRS collects royalty for the underlying rights, and Isamra does so for the performance rights of musicians and singers. So they are both performance rights collection societies. But much before that comes the building of awareness amidst the creators that these rights in fact exist. These rights in fact are valuable, and these rights need both protection. And then after the creator has been able to understand this, essentially first is awareness, then is education, then is clarity, and then he, she, or they realize the value. After that comes registration with societies, after which flows royalty, right? So this I just thought we'll take a step back. So there associations, be it ours, which is MCAI, be it other associations, I'm sure, such as, it could be SIMCA, it could be the Producers Association, Screenwriters Association. They are bodies which are meant for a very holistic setup for both making the creators aware, educating them, and then being there to safeguard those rights. By safeguard, I mean royalty societies, by definition, are not geared to, let's say, negotiate contracts, right? They are to follow the laws and collect basis of the laws, right? But when it comes to contracts, when it comes to policy decisions, let's take the 2012 amendment that happened. Back in the day, Mr. Tandon, who is now heading Isamra, he was with MCAI, and along with Javed Saab, along with Vishal Bhardwaj, along with a whole lot of other people who I'm missing out now, that you could call it protest, or that campaign was mounted via the MCAI, right? So you needed an association. To give you another example, Singers Association of India. Yes, of course. Actually, the whole group was together. Further, let's give you another example. Let's say day before yesterday, the MCAI and the Screenwriters Association, which includes the script writers as well as the lyricists. You know, we just entered into a MOU. Now, this was again a policy or a best practice sort of a initiative in which the lyricists must be acknowledged as equal contributors when it comes to credits, because they are equal contributors according to the law when it comes to collection. When it comes to royalties, composers and authors are equal partners in collecting royalties, right? So I think the role of the associations is, that's why it stands a little different, it stands a little apart. It's a much more from the ground up making sure of the well-being. And then obviously there are template contracts which we encourage our members to make them the starting point for negotiations. There are legal teams which are there to vet contracts and advise. Then there are dispute resolutions because they are based on contracts. And if contracts are not honored, the association needs to back its members so that those disputes are resolved either in an amicable manner or by using gentlemen such as yourselves.
Awesome. Awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I was talking about. From what you've heard, if we have property, if you have a flat or a land, the first thing you need to is have a document to show that you're the owner of the land. You need registration to show what is the schedule and to prove your ownership. You need to rent out the property. You've got to take efforts to find a person who'll rent, fix the rent, collect the rent, and then so many other steps. Your copyright, your music, what you've composed is a property. Now, all of you are trying to do this yourself. Now, we have these associations which has formed this ecosystem. As Rumpa said, they will register your title, your name against your title. Wherever your song or tune plays, it will be known. You'll get a royalty for that. The same thing with, as what Mr. Srinivasan said, they are looking after each aspect. You don't have to go to monetize your property. They will find the person who wants to play the song, they will collect the money, they will take care of it. And as MCA does, they support you from the beginning to the end with contracts, with support, with policy, and with legal help. So this is an amazing ecosystem for individual artists, for owners, and for music publishers. Every single aspect of your admin and financial work is looked at so that you can concentrate on your music, take your music to great heights, and let them do the hard work of handling the administration and getting you the money for your hard work. We were planning to have a few questions, but as we are running out of time, for giving us such an illuminating talk about the ecosystem and how the individual artists can be helped, let's have a round of applause for our panelists.
Thank you, sir. I would now like to request Mr. Jacob Kurian to felicitate our distinguished panelists.
And now it's time for a special treat. We are honored to present a mesmerizing live performance by none other than Mr. Anil Srinivasan, a national award-winning pianist, educator, and innovator in the world of music. So sit back, relax, and immerse yourself in the magic of his music.
I want to thank KRIA Law for deciding that the performance is mesmerizing before it even began. If your law firm is saying that about you, we are in very good hands. The second thing is that Sumesh Narayan is also going to be joining me because he doesn't have a choice either. So I thought we'll make this interesting. I know everybody in the back can certainly see me. Light tends to reflect from my head. I know some people can't see me properly, but you can just visualize me. Oh, we are on screen. Excellent, excellent. Here is the conundrum. I've been given 20 minutes to play. I am surrounded by the IPRS people, the Isamra people, the MCAI people. Actually, to play my own work also, I don't know if I'm supposed to apply for permission or not. It's very likely I do. So I'm going to ask for a disclaimer, Bharat to note, Jakes to note, that everything that I play today is considered fair use. I shall definitely play 15 seconds or less of well-known copyrighted work. All recordings are purely the liability of KRIA Law and Associates. Any recording thereof to be used only with prior written permission from composers living and non-living or their representatives. Please read every one of the laws, bylaws, including page. Please understand one thing. You must not only be aware of the 1957 Act, but you must also be aware of the 2012 Act. You must be aware of Clause 52 and the provisions made thereof. All questions, queries, and clarifications to be directed to MS Bharat of KRIA Law and Associates. Having said this, now I will commence to play. And in honor of Justice Prabha Sridevan, I thought we'll start by playing Kalyana Samayal Sadam. As has already been announced, Shri Ghantasala is no more. We'll do this again. So I'll play that line. How many of you here are aware of Maya Bazaar? Yeah, you know this, right? If you don't know, you can copy. Right to copy has been given. Just look at the person next to you, because I am making sure that if I am criminally liable today, it's going to be a group criminal liability that I'm creating. Better to cover all my bases. Rumpaji, please note. Importantly, today I chose the ragam Kapi because it is copyright. Thank you, Sumesh, very much. Back to you.
Thank you, sir. That was indeed a mesmerizing performance. Now, for what is perhaps the most anticipated panel of the day, may I please invite our moderator for this panel on AI and the impact of it on copyright music, on commercial music and films, Ms. Komal Kaul, our distinguished panelists, Dr. G. Dhananjayan, leading producer and founding member of the Tamil Film Active Producers Association, Mr. Sridhar J. Swaminathan, Secretary of the South India Music Companies Association, and Mr. Santosh Kumar, Vice President of Think Music.
Good evening, everyone, and a warm welcome to all the panelists here. Thank you for joining us today. I will quickly jump to a quick story. We come from KRIA Law, who's a law firm. That's a law firm. And yesterday we had a legal tech presenter in the office. He started saying that, there will be a time when technology or AI will take over legal drafting. And all of us had a nervous laugh in the room, thinking, oh wait, is it going to take over our jobs? Secondly, when we were preparing for this panel, I asked each one of my colleagues to prepare some kind of music using AI. And we were able to prepare something which is worth a Grammy Award. So I would like to play that, if we can have that piece of music for 30 seconds. Thank you. The prompts that we put were create music about Chennai city, and this is what came out. So imagine what AI can do when a group of lawyers can create this music, what AI will do with a set of professional musicians. With that, I'll quickly jump to the questions here. My first question would be to you, Mr. Dhananjayan. AI music is not anymore experimental. It's now transitioned into being mainstream. We have a lot of tools these days, and of course, we have a lot of, one of the most prominent musical directors who recreated the voices of a few late artists in a very commercial movie. So I would like to know your thoughts generally on what is going to be the impact of AI on commercial music.
Firstly, hearty congratulations for organizing such an important topic here, Bharatji and everyone. And very happy to be here. I just want to make it clear that AI is really benefiting the industry in a way. I will put it across today. You look at it, Rajinikanth film coming in, superstar Rajinikanth film coming, and they wanted Malaysia Vasudevan singing for him. Just imagine, how is it possible? You can only bring in his son to sing, it will be a cloning of the song. Okay? You can at best clone, but you can't recreate the entire voice. They created in Veteyan, Malaysia Vasudevan song, and it became a highlight for the film. The most talked about during the release of the film is like, Malaysia Vasudevan song is coming in that particular thing. And recently it happened, for Pavadarani, our demise, unfortunate demise, and our song has been recreated using AI. It's happening for so many, people who passed away, but there is a limit to that. There is a limit to that, how much you use it, for what purpose you use it, but not crisscrossing into commercialization. Basically, that's where the copyright comes into the act. Today we were listening to the music, such a wonderful music you're listening to it, that's original. That can never be recreated, that can never be copied by AI. AI can only, assemble so many tunes and so many songs and bring out something which is a, combination of so many things, but not so original. The so original is what is created by the talents. So original is always what we'll celebrate, and so many new talents we are celebrating, introduced by music companies here, and each one of them are actually creating original content. That original content can never be copied by AI, but AI is going to be a great tool for, bringing back those nostalgia, bringing back those great song, recreated using the technology. So the technology is a great boon. I'll put it across, it's a great boon for the media industry, especially film industry, but it has to be used appropriately. It has to be used when it's required. It can't be completely copied. It can't be like, everywhere recklessly use it and destroy the industry. That's not possible, because there is a lot of commerce involved in it. There is a lot of copyright involved in it. There is a lot of, people invested in the copyright of the song. If somebody misuses that particular IP and because they got AI in their hand, that's not something the industry is going to accept it, and the law is not going to permit it. So we are very, very conscious about it. We definitely want AI to be used appropriately at various places, whether it's in visual form or in audio form. You look at it today, lot of visuals are coming up using AI technology, and this is really benefiting the industry. To bring in, I'll put it across, if I want to tell a story, and I'm not able to shoot it, I can use through AI, I can create the visuals, I can bring in those visual combination, and in a few lakh rupees, I can create a 3 minutes visual, and I can use it. But that's it. With that one, I should end it, not the entire film. I can't be talking about the whole film through AI, or whole audio through AI, or whole song through AI. That's not something we are going to be allowing it, or we are not going to be happy about it. That's something, is going to be treated as illegal. So we will use it appropriately. The industry is adapting to the technology, is going to use it appropriately and wherever it's required. That's all I'll put across.
Thank you, thank you. So what I understand from your comments is that AI should be a co-collaborator and definitely not a replacement for artists in any way. With that, I'll come to you, Santosh, with the same question. What do you think has been the impact of AI in commercial music? And I will also add another question to you. How has the audience response been, if there are any examples?
I would like to thank Mr. Dhananjayan and Mr. Sridhar. I'm so glad to join this panel. Two senior-most A&Rs from the music industry. So like Mr. Dhananjayan said, there should be some limitation with respect to the usage of AI. See, for me, as a record label company, as a strategy, we keep promoting debut talents, okay? And not only for the non-films, also for the films. Like, we would have launched close to 50 to 60 debut composers in the last 10 years, okay? See, for me, how I see the music creation, it's like two creative minds, like the director and the music composer collaborates and they create a creation, okay? It's a soundtrack, it's asset IP. So it has a soul for it because the creator's journey, the emotion, the culture, so many things involved in the creation, okay? Once the track got released, though we are putting the term in the contract, perpetual period, like 99 years, whatever. So even after the expiry, the track, there's no expiry for the track, the soundtrack, okay? So that's how I see the creation. There should not be a replacement for musical creation. Maybe for this nostalgic experience, the limit should be there in terms of AI usage.
Thank you, Santosh. With that, I come to you, Sridhar sir. The bigger question here is not from a lawyer's perspective or not from a law perspective. This is a completely raw perspective that I'm putting here. Who owns the copyright in an AI-created music? I will not get into the definitions or the legalities, but you know there have been certain instances world over where certain IP offices have allowed AI to be a co-applicant in a copyright application. So I would like to hear your thoughts that who owns the copyright and generally, what do you feel about it?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, KRIA, for this panel. And good that there was a perfect subject has been, touched for this World IP Day for Music. I would like to add one answer for your previous question. As far as the Malaysia was given Sir voice or SPB voice recreated for today, it was done with the valid permission of the family. This is the most important point, needs to be underlined. 1. 2. AI can be an assistive tool in creation of the copyrights, in creation of the expression of the author or composer. So if you look at the law also, where you are saying that the AI can be where the human creation contributes more percentage to the copyright. It is not otherwise. Creation is creation. Copyright is for the human creation, definitely not for machine creations. I would like to go one step further also. You played a music. That music was AI created. Any system, technology does not create anything on its own. It based on the input data that is being given to the system to arrive at the output. The input which was given all these days, all these years trained, belongs to the entire music community of this world. That is what I am saying, that needs to be respected, licensed at the initial level itself. So, no AI cannot be copyrighted if substantial major part of a human contribution to it.
Thank you, sir. Very well said. I come to a different perspective now where I talk about AI and music on a very societal perspective. So, you know, we've had news articles coming out to say that AI-created music has been giving some calm to cancer patients. It is there in the news articles. So I would like to understand from you. I'll first come to you, Dhananjay sir, and then Santosh and Sridhar sir in that order. How do you think, because music comes from a perspective of culture, like Santosh rightly said, human emotions, culture, society. Where do you think it fits in with the technology and AI in particular? Can we look at AI creating music that would have an impact for all generations to come? Or is it something that we're just looking at as a very short-term perspective to kind of, you know, just finish the work and move on?
Like, Sridhar sir rightly said, someone is giving input, some other output is coming. So it's not original. The original is something, a creation, what we saw here. Somebody is playing using copy, raga, and coming out with a brilliant composition, and we are listening to the song, and so happily we have been immersed in the song. So whereas you played a song with the AI, it's just a collage of so many, songs and music. That's not really original, and we are not going to be really loving it. See, today what is happening, I'll tell you, to the extent people send us script pitches. Can you believe it? People generate through ChatGPT and they're generating story ideas, paragraphs are fitted in and they're sending it across to us. And I got a team in my script team, the first thing they check is it copied from anywhere? It used to happen for PhD thesis earlier. When you submit PhD thesis, there is a, algorithm is checked whether, you copy pasted from any other thesis or any other book. But today, the plagiarism, we just do it. And today, can you believe, my team systematically, any script is coming to us. And the first thing, they put the script through that particular thing. And then immediately they tell me, sir, this is copied from ChatGPT's created script. Okay. What is going to happen is, whether it's Mr. Santosh or all of us, I have to know if there is a tune comes to you, immediately you have to put through that particular software and check, is it AI generated or original generated? We do that now. We are doing it. I'm not really joking it. My team, immediately they reject. In fact, couple of people, a very eminent person, somebody, he put a profile to me and he said, sir, I got some 3-4 scripts I want to pitch to you. And he approached me from a foreign country. I told him, yeah, definitely please send it across to my team. I was shocked. Within 2 days, my team came back and told me, this entire script, except the initial idea, in between everything is he copy pasted from various through ChatGPT. He created. Like Sridhar said, clearly, he gave the input to that. That input is the introduction. That is called premise. The issue, the story idea, he gave it to the ChatGPT. It generated a whole story. And then he sent it across to us as a pitch. Okay, so we told him very clearly, sorry boss, it's not your creation, it may be your idea, but we are rejecting it. And I sent him a mail, henceforth will not entertain your scripts because we are afraid to go through your script. I don't know where I'm going to be violating the copyright by reading your script or considering your script or using your script in the future. So why I'm saying as a script, it's exactly same thing. Today AI, ChatGPT and everything, there is a limit. If the people are going to misuse it to represent as their own creation, the law has to come into the place. Okay, today the law has to come into the place, and rightfully law firm is conducting this particular workshop, and you have to bring in the agreements. For example, Mr. Santosh, when he signs the agreement, he has to very clearly put it across now one paragraph. If you used any string nodes or anything or any particular thing from AI generated tool, then you will be banned, or you will be exposed, or you will be penalized. That paragraph has to come in now. The fear has to come in among the creators or anybody who's misusing the technology, or bringing in a 3-minute song or a 5-minute song, 2 minutes of basically from AI generated. Obviously, you will be thinking that Santoshji team will not be knowing it, but Santoshji team will know it. They'll figure out a way to find out where exactly it's been copied, and they have to penalize such creators in some way so that it brings in fear. See, you come and admit it, I copied from so-and-so, I took it from AI, I took it this particular thing in from so-and-so. But if you are going to claim it as your own original, that's something we should not encourage. And we are sitting in a law firm discussing about this particular thing, and I definitely seek the law firms to completely change the agreement format. Bring in this, recognize AI is now real. AI is going to be the future. AI is going to be used by the people, and I certainly welcome that. I certainly welcome AI to be used so that you get inputs. You can use it as a benchmark. You can use it as an input. But if you are going to copy paste it, definitely you're going to be penalized. That should be the fear among anyone who is creating content. And that's what all the music companies to all the law firms to everybody should ensure, so that AI is rightfully used, not misused. That's my point of view.
Santosh, coming to you, Believe Music is doing such wonderful work with artists all over. What do you think, what are your views on AI versus, human emotion and society, culture perspective? What do you think we're looking at?
Like I said earlier, I repeat, see, emotion plays the major role in terms of creation. For instance, if a director wanted a tune from a composer, he explains the situation, composer composes the tune. See, the genre must be different. Okay, happy, sad. Singers like SPB sir, he knows to emote like the variation of the modulation. that we can't expect from an AI generator. So it's always the original, the creation is what is going to be the good result. AI, I don't think, and I have a doubt, I was discussing with Mr. Sridhar, copyright law, I don't know whether if it's AI created a composition, whether if it's legally proved.
Copyright is for human creation. Copyright is for human creation.
Then we may not be able to put the clause itself.
Please, Sridhar sir, your thoughts, please.
In fact, last February, March itself, our Commerce Minister, where copyright is coming under their ministry, made it clear that the existing copyright law is perfect for the AI. Copyright is for human creation. Any usage of the data for training the prompts needs to be licensed. It's very clear.
Moving on to the regulation part of it, I completely understand and agree that AI has to be regulated and at several levels. Now, if I have to go around the panel and ask one ideal regulation that you would like to be implemented in an AI law that would probably come out in the future, which currently does not exist. I mean, there are a lot of matters before courts where courts are still analyzing whether copyrighted material can be even used to train an AI. But I want to know from you as people from the music industry, from the film industry, what is one regulation, one law, the ideal regulation that you would like to put in a law that comes out regulating the use of AI in creative works?
Maybe we can put a regulation. AI shall enhance the creation, not the origination, like not replace. It should not be replaceable. Maybe it shall enhance the creation, like AI shall help the creators, like to offload the burden, creators' burden, like I said earlier.
Yes. So while we were discussing for the panel, Santosh rightly said that AI should help me wash my dishes so that I can create music and not the other way around. So I think that is what Santosh is trying to say here. Quickly coming to you, Dhananjay San, we kind of noted your thoughts on the fact that anybody who uses AI to create scripts or music should be banned. But if you have to kind of give a practical, implementable law, so to say, what would be the ideal situation for you?
See, I'll put it across today. When we submit a film to a OTT channel, okay, OTT platform or earlier satellite channel, not so much they used to look at it. Today you give it to any OTT platform. Even if there is a 10-second use of a third-party song, you know, Sar is sitting here, Mr. Sanjay Wadhwa, the biggest man in the IP sector. He owns a lot of IP, thousands of IP, the IP lord of Indian cinema. I'll put it across. IP lord, I'm putting it, not king. Okay. Now, his team is so efficient. I submitted a film day for yesterday. They found out that 5 second, somebody is murmuring something. Okay, somebody is murmuring some, garbage kind of thing. Humming something. It's not even a tune. His team promptly sent me across a note saying that you certify whether it's original song or is a garbage. In the sense like garbage means somebody, just like that they spoke. It's not a copyrighted one. They wanted a certificate from me, or they are saying, give me confirmation that I can mute it. Basically, that 5 second is disturbing the team. The team is saying that I'm not sure about whether it's a copyrighted one. They want to know whether you are copyright protection or no. Now, I checked it. They submitted all the 3 are very valid points. I said, one, you please mute it because I have my concern. The other is, I said, Baba, that is something like the person சொல்லுவாங்க தமிழில் போகிற போக்கில் ஏதோ ஒன்று சொல்லிட்டாங்கப்பா, அதை போய் பாட்டுன்னு வச்சுட்டு நீ வேறு காப்பிரைட் கேட்டுட்டு இருக்க. So I said that, please don't make it a big issue about that. The other one I said that, it's copyrighted. Now, such discipline of finding out every content which is being used by every platform, whether it's music company or a OTT platform or aggregator of IP content, they have to necessarily put the soul grind. Every song, every content you submitted, they should go through that particular check and checks and balances. If somebody has used a third-party song or through IP, like a 4 minutes one and 10-second IP is 10-second creation is through AI, definitely they should start getting back to the content creator. Either the content creator or content buyer or somebody who's producing that particular film, you should be sent a notice saying that I noticed this 10-second, which is, I am assuming this is generated through AI.
So you think the notice should go to the AI developer or to the person who's
AI developer is no way involved. He has been employed. Sridhar rightly said, he has been employed, he has been paid, or he has been given brief to give me the 10-second by the music director or by any content creator. He said that very clearly, I want this particular bit to be through AI. So obviously, the person who submitted the content or somebody who produced the content, they are the only two people to be dealt with. So it has to come in the, where somebody who's exploiting the content. Now I created the content, I got the content done through somebody, I gave it to Santoshji. Now it is his team, I have to now verify, put this whole content on the grind and come back to me saying that, please give me a letter that 10-second is AI or original. Like this team asked me about that 5-second you certify, they should ask this. Now what will happen, this is the way we are talking about regulation. Now what happened, the fear will set in among the people who are selling the content or somebody who's creating the content. I'll be now checking thoroughly whether I'm submitting a AI content which might violate some copyright act. See, I really don't know if through AI I got a 30-second music inbuilt in my song. What if the 10 song came from an international song? That international bit has been added through the AI. I'll be penalized by the person who's buying my content, and he's going to tell me that I'm going to either completely mute it, or I'll ask you to get the copyright. Now, where will I go and pick up whose copyright, where will I buy, and how will I pay if they ask for so much of money? It's not easy. I just want to put it across to all of you. Today, the copyright is very expensive. If you are caught, you have to pay in millions. Recently, I don't know how many of you have seen it, there a lot of controversy went around Vidamuyirchi, the film Vidamuyirchi. It happened to be that Vidamuyirchi film is taken from a Hollywood film which came in 97. It is picked up by the actor and then he recommended to the production house. Okay, he told that breakdown is the film, you pick up the copyright. They approached the Paramount company, and the Paramount company offered something and all, but then somewhere the deal didn't close. But at that time when they pitched across, they only quoted a minuscule amount, $100,000, because it's a 97 film. 1997 film, they quoted $100,000. At that time they said, we had picked up an idea from your script. And the deal was not closed, in the sense like they didn't pay the money, they didn't complete the entire transaction. Film took 3 years. After 3 years, when they approached it, a new team asked, please share the content what you made. We like to see the content, whether it's inspiration or it's a remake. And finally, when it happens to it, they watch it, it's a remake. See, there is an inspiration is different, whereas a remake is different. Remake means, it's completely the whole script is there. That means the whole film content used to that 90 minutes film is there in the film. So they said that now, you told us earlier it's inspiration, now it is a remake, in the sense official adaptation or remake. You better pay, they asked for $5 million. We are talking about $5 million. Then it came down to $2 million. Finally, it came down to so much of money. 17 crores, something like that they settled. That's what the whole industry is talking about. But exact number, only the production house will know. We are talking about $100,000, which would have been simply finished. It's gone into that level. Why I'm explaining this particular fact is, all of us should know, particularly in the Copyright Act, people who are dealing with the copyright, if you're dealing with people in content, please tell them it is not a joke. It might get into billions. Assuming that I pick up a content, a 10-second content, I put it across in my song, I release it, I get a claim of $1 million, what will happen to my company? Okay, because it belongs to some international music label, and that label will be asking in millions. So it is a very, very serious thing, and AI technology, we should use it so effectively. If any content creator is taking it lightly and submitting it, all the others who are involved in it, buyer, seller and the legal firm, everybody should put across tight formulations and the guidelines and the whole grind of checking the content and making sure that there is no violation of or infringement of the Copyright Act. That's the only way we can regulate it. Regulation, it doesn't mean that you put across a note, everybody is going to follow. AI is going to be used, is going to be misused, is going to be followed. A lot of people are going to use it, but now it is up to the content the people who are buying the content, who are exploiting the content, and the law firms to put it across very strong guidelines and ensure that it is implemented. And the knowledge is spread among the people who are using AI that this is not easy and you are going to be caught one day. And then we'll penalize you big way. So that something should be communicated. Thank you.
Sridhar sir, your thoughts before we go on to the conclusion.
Good. So, regulation. The music industry, one thing. The consumers decide what they want to do, then come to us. We are talking about regulation. We have got all the regulations. The entire user fraternity of the music, as initially our senior partner, Bharat sir, marked. Music paying for music is not even the last priority. I'm sorry to say this. This is a fact of this state. When it comes to regulation, we want only one thing. At the input level of any data, that needs to be regulated. We are not here, so when we try, when we hit, when we give you output, then we will pay. I'm sorry. So what you use, what is the input data that is being either done by machine learning or web scrolling is the century's creation. It's be it the master or the works or the voices or anything. Before even it is going to be trained, there must be a license and has to be monitored. And if the technology company wants, they can perfectly map it. And in fact, as you said, who owns the AI created music? If the blockchain technology is going to be used, the entire 4 minutes song can be in a form of shared with a split sheet with where from which gang was been taken. This is what we want. The regulation has to be there. In fact, all of you know day before yesterday, the government of India, MeitY, has called for a suggestion. Okay, and this was continuously being discussed. Even in G20, it was discussed. Second, music is, not just AI. Music can contribute to the United Nations Sustainable Development Growth. There were 17 points described by United Nations. Out of that, 8 points can directly be contributed by the music industry alone. It is not just a recorded book. It is a live music. It's everything happening in and around. Okay, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. To effectively conclude this, I would say that yes, AI needs to be regulated. Is AI the future of music industry? Probably. But is it the main act? No, till the time we don't allow it to be. So even though AI can create music, it can create beats, but nothing can beat the vibe of an open concert, a live concert. Maybe AI can write lyrics, but it can never understand the emotion that goes behind a heartbreak or the joy of a particular emotion. So we definitely need to regulate AI. I'll leave it at that. Fortunately, we have around 5 minutes for questions. Yes, sir. We'll just get the mic to you, sir, if you have. Yeah, we can share this. Yeah.
Hello. Hi, this is Rajesh alias Srihari. I'm a singer and a music producer. I also call myself an untrained composer, untrained writer, what all, everything is untrained. One small input, I don't want to take more time. I don't know why this false narrative has been created that AI copies things from places. No, I have used AI myself just for trial basis till now. I have created more than 25 songs. You will be shocked to know that if I now come and play you some music, you will not be able to identify whether it is original or AI created. AI created music does not mean create Ilayaraja's song. No. You are giving some inputs to it. You are asking it to create something. I'll just give you one small example. I wanted the AI to create one romantic breakup song. I wrote the first line. Of course, yes. I wrote the first line, it completed the Pallavi. I wrote the Charanam first line, it created the Charanam 1. I wrote the first line of the Charanam 2, it completed it. Then that was fed into the system to create a new song with voice. I did not give any input that I want Balu sir's voice, I want Malaysia version voice. No, it was just a plain and simple thing. I want a breakup song. You would be shocked to know that a new song was created which had no similarity to any voice or to any kind of specific music. And I am a musician. I am in the industry from last 40 years. And I am also a very good critic of my own music apart from everybody else. I was so happy with the result. You will be shocked. I created with just one lyric. I could create 10 songs in about 25 minutes.
Anyone on the panel would like to see this?
So, as Mr. Rajesh pointed out, the question, what I am saying is, it is the input data. Again, time and again, I am saying that it is not the machine created. You know, overall engineering graduates know very well that it's called, in the first year, what they train them is a matrix. X0, X00, X, XX0. That is how the data is being stored or input displayed. So what I am saying is essentially Rajesh ji says correct. But to create a music, machine doesn't know what is music. It is the input data, sir. It is the input data. The input data belongs to this industry. Time and again, I am endorsing this. The input data, valid evidences have been proved by the world. It is there already in the courts by the RIAA against Suno and Video with the examples of the tracks. Thank you.
I just would like to add this point. You may be very well right. There is no false narrative created that, it is not original. Okay. All that we are saying is, No. Let me put it. I just said in my whole communication, all that we need to be regulating very clearly is we need to put it in agreement with you. Like, if there is any copyright violation comes in, okay? If it doesn't come, it's okay, fantastic. I'm saying that Bharatji gives a copyright law very clearly paragraph where whatever Rajeshji creates is original, even if it is AI. And if there is a penal demand of $1 million, you have to pay. I have no problem with that. I'll take it from you. Because end of the day, I just want, as a law firm, you have to put it across very clearly. Such geniuses are existing who can get brilliant, AI used songs and claim it as original. But, please protect all the people who are going to use it. I'm talking about film producers or music companies. Please protect us with adequate copyright production agreements. That's all I'll put it.
Sure. Hi, my name is Sandil Nayagam. I have met a couple of people in the front row part. Okay. So, Parshavan sir, okay, so Balasubramanian Parshavan. So I met him at A.R. Rahman sir's studio 2 years back. We were pitching if AI music can be used. And the one feedback was, probably not. That's the same industry what you are saying. 2 years back, that's what we pitched. And I came back, I said, okay, I can't convince the industry from going inside and approaching. So the only way is educate the people. So what we did was, we cloned SPB's voice. So yeah, so Kavala song, face cloning, we did it. First to do song part. Good part, A.R. Rahman sir eventually used it. Though they would not have used if nobody has tried it. Second part, yeah, Bhavdharani part, okay. Face swapping on Goat and every other movie. Though they initially said 3D part, everything has been done, okay. Srinivas sir, I copied his song, A.R. Rahman song with his voice, and I've interacted only once with him. And that song into A.R. Rahman's voice, and the content was sent to A.R. Rahman sir itself. So idea is, hey, this is where the industry is going. You can't stop it. You can wish it, that's what, but, okay, second part, okay, this is where it's going. Japan is the leader which we should be copying. And they have something called Article 34. We are pitching it to the government of India as we speak. We are already working with some people. I would like to talk to Mr. Bharat as well, again, if we can partner, okay. The idea is, India is lagging behind in LLMs, also in image, video, audio, text, voice, everything, okay. China has beaten us in some way, America has beaten in some way. You can sue only people who have money. So anything which goes into open source, you can't compete with that part. Okay. What we are pitching is, hey, the part will be non-enjoyment purpose. If entertainment is there, if human is listening to it, you can charge for it. If AI is a machine, if it listens to you, can't charge for it. That is the new paradigm which is being used by Japan. They have postponed all litigation for the next 5 years. Enough time for Japanese companies or companies who are incorporated in Japan to train on all content and make it viable. So we are pitching it for India. Thank you.
Unfortunately, we are running out of time. I would just ask my panelists if you have any closing remarks. Oh, you will talk to him separately. You can look out for him at the high tea when we have after the event. I'm sorry, sir, you can take it offline. We're running out of time. Thank you so much, all of you. It was quite an interesting session.
Thank you, ma'am. I would request you to please facilitate our esteemed panelists before they get off stage. May I please request everyone to be seated before we start our next panel discussion? Thank you. Please.
Next, we have another thought-provoking discussion lined up, which is balancing licenses in the music industry. To moderate this session, we have Mr. M.S. Bharat, founder and managing partner of KRIA Law. Joining him on stage are our distinguished panelists, Ms. Rumpa Banerjee, Mr. Sanjay Wadhwa, and now I call upon Mr. Atul Churamani. Over to you, Bharat sir.
Very good afternoon, everyone. In the interest of keeping up with our impeccable time of starting at 5:01, we're just 1 minute late. But in Japan, the train would have left. Most interesting or difficult part of chairing a session which has in its title balance is very difficult. Because I don't think I can do the rope trick here. But as they all say, when there is always a litigation or a fight or two parties at war on either side of a litigation or a controversy or a negotiation as well, there's only one person who wins for sure. When I was a much younger lawyer back in 2000, when I was interning in my previous firm, it's one of the most revered firms in the country, Anand & Anand. I owe it all. I am what I am because of that wonderful organization and my seniors there. But there used to be a wonderful poster, I still remember. The poster would have two individual pulling one cow. One would be pulling the horn, another would be pulling the tail. And then there'll be a gentleman who is sitting down right next to the cow, and there's another gentleman far away from the cow watching this entire medley. And this gentleman sitting next to the cow is milking the cow. The cow's name is litigation. And the man pulling the horn is the plaintiff. The man pulling the tail is the defendant. The judge sits from far, but the lawyer is milking the cow. So no matter who wins, we win. Well, probably not at home, my wife says, because she's my judge. Well, very quickly going into the main or the last topic, I would say is, there are about 4 or 5 pillars in music. There is obviously the creator, there is a publisher, there is a distributor, there is a producer, and then there is a user or a consumer. As a user or a consumer, we possibly download Spotify, YouTube Music, or Ghana, many forms of consumption, or even radio for that matter. We had gentlemen, sir is here. So the most interesting litigations we've seen in the copyright regime, which lasted decades, is actually something around the word called needle and how the needle ticks. So as to how much of needle hour have you played music, and so much of music you have to play or pay for the play. Pay for the play, it's kind of a jargon. But anyway, I'll just quickly move on. If we can stop sharing, it's very disturbing now. The joke is over. So whenever there is an artist who takes their creativity to the market and publishes, as Sumesh was mentioning, I don't know whether he's still here, he says, I don't know anything. Oh, there you are. Yeah, he says, let me create my own stuff. Let the creative juices flow. I'm not going to be bothered about how much money I'm making. That's how the creative mind works. But Atul and I were speaking, and some of us were speaking earlier in the day, professions like law or chartered accountant or other forms of profession, say like doctor, there are means in which it is considered as a profession, and you file balance sheet and P&L to the income tax authorities considering it to be a profession. Because we clock by the hour or clock by the procedure by a doctor does, and everything is billed. But not so in the case of a music creator or artist. So I'm quickly segueing into it and asking the panel around. I have wonderful panelists. Sanjay Badwa from AP International, immediately towards my left. He's one of the biggest content owners in the country or this part of the world. And I have Atul Churamani. I keep using this word, but he hates me using it on him. He's the biggest ladder in the music industry. Many have gone up his ladder. A round of applause to both of them, please. And of course, we had the wonderful opportunity of Rampa having already chaired in one session, so I'm not going to reintroduce her to you. But thanks for getting artists their due money. A round of applause for the society as well. We have 24 minutes to go. I ate up 6 of their time, but this is KRIA standard. So I'll start off with Atul, because you are the talent finder. You are the person who has seen the wannabes, the werebees, and the greats as well. If you can name the greats, and feel free to speak about the rest. What is the journey? What happens? Why don't they negotiate better? Why don't they, when I say they, the artist, know their rights to put things in order in the contract? Is there a contract to start with?
So I think what's important is, on the other panels, people were talking about it, and this, they were talking about DIY, and I think Somesh made a very valid point about he wants to do his own music. And today, when you talk about independent music, you'll hear this term DIY come up very often, right? I don't look at it as DIY. I call it UIY. Understand it yourself. Because when you go out and you decide to become a professional musician, right, performer, creator, whatever, you're starting your own business. And I think it was mentioned on one of the other panels earlier, I think Bala mentioned it. You're becoming an entrepreneur yourself. You've decided, right? You're not doing a job. You're going to go out and become the next Michael Jackson or Arijit Singh or whatever, right? So you are starting your own business. When you start a business, don't you do some due diligence in what your business is, right? If you're going to make rubber, if you're going to make microphones, right? You're going to do some due diligence. So every artist must attend these wonderful workshops that IPRS does. Rumpa has been a champion in this. She's going across the country, doing workshops, educating people. Understand the business. That's it. After that, there are enough and more companies there, distribution companies to distribute your recordings to Spotify, Apple, YouTube, etc. There are publishers who will take it to IPRS, get your copyrights registered, etc. There are social media companies who will take you to all the platforms you need to get attention on. So understand whom you need to deal with, because don't go to the wrong person. And I heard on the panel, someone was talking about publishing your music. You don't publish your music in terms of a recording, right? So although the act says that taking it to the public, in music, publishing is about composition lyrics, which is what MCI does, right? So there's sound recording and there's composition and lyrics. So understand the difference between the two. Go to the correct people so that you're taking the correct decisions. And when you're young, whether you're doing a job or whether you're a young musician, you're starting a career. Nobody starts at the top, right? So therefore, if you get bullied, I got bullied when I did my first job, I got paid $800. Now, you might turn around and say, hey man, that's not fair. You should have been paid at least $25,000. I'm starting. It's fine. So you will sign off things because you don't have the resources, you don't have the money. You sign with a label that finds you, a talent, and it's going to promote you. It's a quid pro quo. It's not about the 800 rupees and 25,000 rupees at that point of time. It's about what you're going to achieve after that. So therefore, you are agreeable to getting a lower salary. Rumpa didn't start as head of relations there, right? She worked her way up.
No, that's fantastic. So you would then agree, or at least realize, that early on you, of course, don't give your arms, if not nails, in return for you moving up. Because the works which you have done as a young artist obviously would be given much more because you are in a more, so to say, vulnerable position. So Sanjay, you are somewhere in the middle. You are the person who trades, I mean, if I may call it as a trading, because you buy content, you sell content, you license, you distribute, you export. So from your perspective, can you, not so from an independent artist or an artist's perspective, because music is not just about only the independent artists. We had an entire panel on the panel number 1 talk about it. If you can share your experience on how industrialized or commercialized is that trading, and what rights do you negotiate? Of course, more territories, more
term, most scoop of rights, but you are formidable in that. I'll have to say salute. He's got 2 in-house counsels who are scooping out the last ice cream from the, from the every pie. So, I'm sorry.
No problem. Thanks for this introduction. I love this. So it's not about, let me first answer a little bit on the earlier question. Let's take an example today, let's say Rajinikanth, right? Today he's probably drawing 100 crores, whatever the salary is. When he started with probably 1,000 or 5,000 rupees, right? Why did he start at that time at that low salary? Probably the value of money was not as much. Let's look at that point. The other thing is that he was a fresher. What do you as a law firm pay a freshly graduated student in your law firm? Please tell me that.
Don't answer that.
I don't need a number. I'm just sorry. I'm not asking for a number. I'm just saying, you do not pay him as much as somebody with 5-year experience, right? Now, if I'm going out for a job, I'm trying to hawk my resume. Somebody with fresh, 0 experience versus somebody with 20-year experience, there is a different weightage, right? First. Second, the field is so competitive. I'm now talking from film perspective. I'm not talking from the independent artist. You have millions who want to make it big in cinema, whether it is direction, whether it is music, whether it is lyric writing, whether it is acting or actress, whoever it is. Getting an opportunity is impossible. I've seen how people, I've been in the industry for the last 40 years. I've seen how people literally come saying, I'm willing to spend money because I want my son to become a hero, okay? Can you please get me a director or a producer? I'll put example 50 lakhs, movies worth 2 crores, please ask me to make a movie. So it's that bad, right? So at that point, when you're desperate for that job, you're desperate for that chance, okay? And you're a newbie. You have to give in to what market conditions are. The producer is betting on Mr. X to come and give the music. If the music is bad, his film doesn't have an opening, right? He's risking it on that person. At that point, whatever has been done is fine. Yes, as you progress, even for example, let's look at it, somebody who's joining a startup. If somebody is joining the first time, he'll say, okay, I'll take 5,000 shares as my, bonus, ESOP. The moment he becomes 5 years more, I need 50,000 shares, right? It's a question of progression. So today for somebody to say, oh, that day I didn't sign a contract, I don't know what I did, but I want everything back now. Sorry, boss, doesn't work. So that's as far as the earlier question. Coming to my side of it, yes, it's not about me, it's about everybody else. Everybody's trying to maximize their revenue. Be it the producer, be it the director, be it the hero, and therefore be it the businessman, right? It's a question of maximizing. The hero will say, I want 100 rupees as salary. The director will say, I want 50 rupees as salary. Producer will say, I want 5 rupees as, 10 rupees as profit. It's a question of negotiation. And every point, every single contract, I have a lot of people from every single contract that we have done has been negotiated. Producer says, I don't want to give you X rights. I want to give you only this. I want to give you for this time, this term. You pay accordingly, right? I've had, for example, I'll just go back to something like in 2000 or even in 2012, where they said, oh, Mr. Rajinikanth paid back everybody for the loss in Linga, right? Or in Baba. Did anybody put a gun to the distributor's head and say, pay me 100 rupees, and if you lose, I will give you back 25? You came on your own, right? So there's no logic in, asking for money back. Like, for example, in Linga, I went and paid whatever I had to pay. I lost. I was the only distributor who never went and stood there for money, because that is a risk I took. That's the risk I took. So if today, for whatever reason, for whatever reason, let's say I have my contract in the year 2000 or 2001, I put in my contract digital rights, and I told the producer I want the digital rights. I mean, today if digital has become big, I can say it's only luck that probably I, had it in my contract. I had a good lawyer who advised me, right? So I don't see any, thing that, I've culled out everything last. It's a business transaction. Every time, in fact, Mr. Rahman, he says, I will give you these rights, I will not give you these rights. Absolutely. Right? So it's about how you evolve over a period of time.
I'll just pause you there because a lot of questions came to us yesterday. I'm very, very glad that you brought it up because they say that music directors, when I say director, music director A did not do so, music director B has done so, music director C has gone to court. What is it that the music director retains? Does the music director, composer retain anything at all or not? And what happens in the absence of contrary? A lot of questions came from the media. And the question was, what is written in the contract? If there is no written contract, what happens?
It's not only the contract. I know what you're referring to without taking out names.
Yep.
But as per the Copyright Act or Cinematographic Act, the owner of film or the film-related components is the person whose name is on the censor certificate. Let me assume for a moment that the talent, whether it's director, music director, lyric writer, has not entered into a contract. Okay? Censor certificate says Sanjay is the owner of this movie. Period. Full stop. That's it. And whoever that particular, musician or director or lyric writer is going to face flack. Yes, the law in the country unfortunately takes 14, 15 years for a judgment to come. It will come.
No longer. I'll have to say immediately say no longer because we have the Commercial Codes Act and some of the clients here might be wondering, I filed a case about a year and a half back, what's happening? But there are fast-track courts for intellectual property called Commercial Codes Act. It has been there around from 2017. The trials are coming up in about 10 months, 1.5 years. So gone are the case when there are older cases which are very old, but
19 years, radio versus IPRS.
That's precisely what I said. That's precisely what I said post-2017 cases. But you're talking about the needle of a problem of copyright-related ones which have been Copyright Board, which merged with IP.
Those are older ones.
Yeah.
Really, I'm just picking up on a point that you made. And I really feel that we should reinstate a copyright board because we shouldn't, the commercial courts will take their own time. I think specialist copyright boards, and ma'am is sitting here with the full experience of IPAB, we are much happier under a copyright board.
Not only that, I mean, if you're having a copyright board, there's going to be somebody who's a specialist sitting there. Sometimes the nuances of copyright do not, the normal judges may not understand the nuances.
Oh, fair enough. So that takes me to the lady on the seat, far lefted, but not, I'll ask for a middle way in balance, right? We are on balancing licenses. When IPRS or other societies come together, I mean, we were discussing this, it takes an entire town or a village to raise a child. It takes a community of, say, 30, 40, 50 individuals to make one song. It's just not the composer. It's the singer, it's the musician, it's the lyricist, it's the producer, it's the sound engineer. There are so many different persons, and that's the whole point of having the concept of underlying work in a sound recording. Not many understand as a common man what is this underlying work. So IPRS, you have members across the country, across languages. If I were to play one song in a restaurant which I own, I need to take 3 licenses possibly. I'm talking about the widest form of possible. And anyone or each of you can answer, but I would ask Rampa to start. Is that you need to pay the Performing Right Society, you need to pay the Singers Association, and possibly PPL as well, or whoever the
producer or the current owner of the sound recording is after the passage. Quick question is, who and how do you internalize the distribution of the royalty? So the two questions are, why the 3 licenses so that it's easier for everyone to understand? And 2, how do you internalize and distribute the licenses, balancing the rights or the performances in each sound recording?
Okay, so to answer that, why there are 3 licenses, so the business of music is very interesting. When you make a song, unlike any other product, there are 2 aspects to it. So when I buy a soap, I pay for the soap, I buy the soap. But when I make a song, there are 2 distinct aspects. One is the master, which is a sound recording, which is a completely separate set of rights. And there are the underlying works. So unlike any other product, when you are using the music, you have to pay for the sound recording, take a license for the sound recording, and also pay for the underlying works. Because these in our country are kind of separately operating, or anywhere in the world. So the owners of sound recording are the label. So the money that comes for the exploitation of the sound recording goes to the owner of the sound recording, which is the label. So there is no share of author-composer from there, so you have to take a license separately for that. Now, whenever a sound recording is exploited, the underlying works are, because there can be no song. This is one interesting thing we always say, and Atul sir poses this question always, that can you sing a song that has not been written or composed? You cannot. So we cannot forget the author-composer. And IPRS is the only body representing author-composers and licensing for the underlying works. So you have to, so I think in the morning also we were having a chat where we said, like, do we need to take IPRS if I'm taking a PPL or a Novex? IPRS is a must, because underlying works will pay. But if you're doing a live, suppose from stage I'm singing, there is no recorded music played, so you can only take an IPRS license. But IPRS license has to be taken because lyrics and composition will be exploited. So that is one thing, why 2 licenses or 3 licenses. The one thing which we tell everyone, if you have a limited budget, you decide the catalog you want to pay, because each of these bodies are representing a set of labels. So today, if I have a limited budget, let me decide that I will not play the songs of this particular label, so you can avoid 1 or 2 licenses.
You were giving an example of the quantum the other day when we were discussing. You can possibly give an example?
Which one, sir?
Saying that if you have a restaurant, how much do you pay annually?
Yeah, so see, this licensing, we have a very, like a misnomer in mind. Oh my God, I don't know how much the license fee will be. And when you don't take a license, or the thing is that it's a mindset. Because we are so much filled with music from the day we are born. Before the baby is born, in baby shower also music is playing. The day a baby is born, music is playing. Again, in any birthday party, music is playing. Like nowhere, nothing happens without music. So it has become that music is free. In the morning, like in some of our earlier panels we discussed, that the concept of paying for music doesn't arise. We don't teach our kind of family members or our kids that you need to pay for music, use music after paying or subscribing for music. So what happens, we have always think, let me avoid licensing, but it's not exorbitant. For example, so we have clear tariffs in IPRS. You will be surprised to note that a kind of a regular restaurant where music is playing in the background, just a guess, how much can be the annual license for that? Like 365 days, 24/7, you're playing music, like through any source. It can be an Alexa also in your restaurant. If you're playing, because it's a commercial use of music happening, what's the license for a year? 6,000 rupees.
2 plates of
6,000
high quality.
rupees.
Yeah, probably one person, one family's bill on an evening.
One dinner. So it's not the question of always the money. It's the mindset. If I can avoid, I will avoid. So what is also very important in our country is we need to have a strong enforcement of copyright law. Our copyright law is one of the best in the world because unlike West, here there can be no buyouts. Because also I would like to explain this. As a creator, there are two kinds of rights that you hold. One is the ownership right of the content. As an independent artist, you can choose to hold the ownership right. You can choose to retain the rights of the lyrics and the composition. Or as like Sanjay ji mentioned or Atul sir mentioned, it's a kind of in what stage of your career you are. If you are in the initial stages, you can sign with a label, you can like assign the ownership to them so that they can go and utilize, they can go and market and popularize the song. Even if you are signing off the ownership right, your right to royalty is intact. The 2012 Copyright Amendment has ensured that your royalty rights are always kind of protected, and whether you are handing over the ownership right or not, royalties will always flow back to you as an author-composer. So the thing is that here we have to be very sure about the rights that we are managing and like encourage people to license for music.
So if I can just add to that, it's very simple. Normally the composer and author are not singers, they're not musicians, right? So you'll understand, Anu Malik and Javed Akhtar do not go out and do stage shows, or at least I don't think Anu does, but they're different people. So therefore they have to be paid separately. So there are musicians who need to be paid, there are performers who need to be paid, and there are composer authors who need to be paid. And you have to understand, again, coming back, points back to the first question that you asked about rights. Who composes, who does the creative bits? The composer and the author, they start that. And like Rupa said, there's a common question we ask. Sing a song that's never been composed. Not possible. So your copyright starts with the composer and author. So the composer and author have created a song. There is no publisher, there is no owner, there is nothing. If these guys decide that they don't want to sell their copyrights or assign their copyrights, they don't need to. But again, as Rumpa said, the law has become so perfect that for these guys, whose composition and lyrics are being used all the time, they have to get royalty. Any contract that denies them royalty is against the law now, right? So there is an inbuilt protection in the law. And because there are now separate representations, it's not Javed Akhtar's job to go to a restaurant and say, give me money because you're playing my song. So IPRS does it for him. And these tariffs, so to talk about balance and rights, etc. What is copyright? Copyright is an exclusive right that I own as a creator. Yet it is very necessary for all public to be involved in the discussion. And ma'am said it also, that it's a question of how public makes it popular. But you don't have a differentiation when there's a license that if you're a restaurant, in those 6,000 rupees, are you playing a popular song or not a popular song? So there is fairness. There is fairness, but when it comes to one-on-one usage, if you come and tell me I'm doing a student film on Michael Jackson and I want to use a song, you might get it free. But if Steven Spielberg is making a film for $300 million and you come and say, oh, but you gave that student film the song free, is that correct? It's not. So therefore, the valuation of music it's an exclusive right. It's the owner's right to determine how much he wants to charge for it. And it is their largesse, I would say, to go to a society, it's their benefit also, to say, okay, Atul Chodapani can't write and sing, but you license my song at the same rate as that you're going to license someone else's song. So that's the whole point, and we keep having these discussions. I'm sorry, Bharat, I'm taking time. But our orientation of intellectual property is weird. Music should not be paid for. And I was having this discussion in the office in the morning. Can anyone go and tell Elon Musk that 8 billion people don't drive your cars on the planet? Give us 100 rupees a month. We'll tell people, give us 100 rupees a month, and we'll let the world drive your cars, and we'll share some money from those 100 rupees to you. Does it sound plausible? It sounds ridiculous, right? Because you're thinking, my God, a Tesla is so expensive. But music is not. Have you ever heard of someone driving a 60-year-old car? No. But you'll listen to songs that are 60 years old. So what has greater value? Our orientation is so wrong. Elon Musk is a great inventor. He invented the Tesla. R.D. Burman did 5,000 songs. 5,000 songs unrelated to each other. He's not a great inventor. Elon Musk is, who's made one car with variations. So, you know, we have to educate ourselves as to the value of intellectual property, and we tend to think touching and feeling makes intellectual property. Picasso's painting, my God, original, millions of dollars. If you have the original master of R.D. Burman's, let's say, Churalia, would you get as much money as you do for a Picasso painting? No. Why? More people are listening to Churalia than are looking at Picasso's paintings.
No, that's...
Actually, we tend to get very emotional when we talk on these topics.
I think Atulji, in Tamil we say, gave us pal payasam in 2 spoons, which is like kheer. I've been warned out of time, but in the interest of time, but we do have a very interesting last question, which I will place before Sanjay. There are a lot of litigations which happen around copyright, that the same right has been sold to multiple parties, multiple times. Imagine if you have a plot of land, you've sold it to one person, and the same plot being sold to second person. Can 2 persons build houses on the same plot? So, to you, Sanjay, what is this habit of reselling the same rights to multiple parties and the receiver of those rights fighting and making lawyers richer?
So there are 2 parts to this. One is, you know, let's say in a concurrent period. For example, I've started a movie today. 3 months later, I've sold to Bharat. Then 6 months later, I decide to sell to Atul. That is fraud. Okay, that is knowingly you're doing it. What happens is, for example, I'll give you some specific cases that I've encountered. 1981, I sold my negative to you. Lock, stock, barrel. The negative is your property, basically, right? The entire rights are with you. Now somebody has read somewhere in 2018 or 2017, some new amendments, some new rights have come in. So he comes back and files a case. Oh, I never sold you, when I sold you this right in 1981, the entire land, okay? I didn't, you know, there was a tree that was under the ground, it's grown now, okay? That tree is mine. So the technology, for example, not OTT, OTT is today. For example, there was this period somewhere in 2005, 2006 where somebody started taking bus rights and rail rights. Boss, that's already covered under transportation rights. Bus and rail are subsets of transportation. So there was a guy who was walking around saying transportation right. Unfortunately, our gullible producers, in Tamil, I'm sorry, most of them don't understand English as well. Today they're saying OTT rights. Boss, OTT is like Xerox. It's a photocopying machine, which is called Xerox worldwide. OTT is over the top. It is actually VOD, video on demand. Right? It is not internet again. Yeah, so it's either AVOD, FVOD. So when something new is created, they say, oh, I never sold the OTT rights. Boss, you sold the video on demand like in 2005. Right? So it's just some new, when any technology evolves, when any new nomenclature evolves, there are these, sorry to say this, bunch of people who want to make some quick money, some mediator, okay? There's somebody who wants to punch a hole into my agreement. Okay, I've got an agreement, let's say in 2008, and somebody says, oh, this is not covered. So he's looking at my agreement, he punches a hole, he goes to a producer who's got 10 movies and buys all the 10 movies, some new right. Then that producer tells some other producer, hey, I just sold this, right? He calls that same mediator back again. And this happens only in video. It does not happen in audio. I have many friends in the audio field. They've never had this thing that, oh, these rights I never sold you then, these rights are new now. It's only in video or television for that matter, right? So it's just creation of new rights that so-called are evolving. But if you've got your rights covered under WIPO, then I don't think there's an issue. So that's the issue.
No, thank you, Sanjay. Round of applause to all the panelists around. I can only safely assume that every topic, each of the 4 topics we've had can go on for an entire day and still not be enough. We have...
Sorry, I have to butt in. I have to add one instance here. Madam might know the people earlier. Like in 1960s, when you go to get your car hire purchase, there used to be just 4 forms, 4 pieces of paper where you sign and borrow the money and come. Today, when you go to the bank to borrow on a car, there's a fat booklet, right? That's because every single year, there's somebody who's tried to create one more loophole, which is why a 2-page agreement when I started in business in 1988 has now become a 19-page document.
In the Madras High Court, we have a museum. Some of us went there. The shortest plaint as in a plaint when you sue someone, is 1 paragraph. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I mean, the curator. So the Chengalpet plaint is 1 paragraph which only talks about recovery of a money suit, which is 1 paragraph so simplistically written. Absolutely. Today, our plaints are about 70 pages. I'll have to thank some other parts of the country which has been influencing our drafting skills in Madras also. As I said, the cow has to go to sleep. We can't milk it anymore. The day has come to an end. Special thanks to Rumpa for coming, and you have a flight at 8:30, I'm consciously aware. But we have an artist amongst us who's waiting by the sideline, waiting to thrill us all. Thank you, Atul. Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you, Rumpa. And thanks to all the audience also.
Would like to make a small announcement that we are coming back on 6th of March. We are having a session on your rights, royalties, and all that you need to know about the different stakeholders in the music industry, like who is a distributor, who is a publisher, who is a publishing administrator. So the workshop is happening at KM College of Music and Technology. It will be it extends to 5-6 hours also, starting from 2 onwards. Please join if you want to understand in depth about the business of music. Bala is here from our Chennai office. He will guide you. Register. If you can't register, just drop in at KM College of Music and Technology on 6th of March, 2 p.m. onwards. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. I would now like to request Mr. Bharat to felicitate our panelists. Before we conclude, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Sumesh Narayanan, a distinguished Carnatic percussionist known for his unique blend of tradition and innovation. He has earned several accolades, such as the Outstanding Concert Prize and Best Mridangam Artist from the Music Academy Madras. Beyond his solo work, he is also part of the dynamic duo Snacks and the creative director of Sound Creed, a record label fostering global music collaborations. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Sumesh Narayanan for his live musical performance.
Hello everyone, my name is Sumesh Narayanan. and I like to whack things with my hands and call it music. I'm going to give you a gist of how that goes today evening. What I'm going to be yeah, it's fine. A couple of things before I actually start playing. I'd like to point out that this was a 1-hour non-stop act that I premiered in June of last year, for which Bharat and Kavita were there, and they saw me last year, and this event has been in talks for a while, and I'm so glad they considered me to perform, and that's probably and possibly what an artist always wants, is to be able to play in front of people and show off. But yeah, we'll stick to playing. What you see is a hybrid setup, is a portion of my hybrid setup that I've acquired over the years. I'm basically trained in the mridangam. I've been training for over 25 years and counting. But over time, you know, I got various opportunities to work with musicians from different backgrounds and percussionists from different backgrounds, and so I picked up the cajon that you see here. This is basically a wooden box with a thin wooden membrane in front where you strike, and the hollow box acts as an amplifier, and there is a mic right behind the instrument, not me. So any and all sounds come from the instrument. It's a gorgeous instrument because I'd like to think it's one of the most simplest instruments made. You really have, you really only have 2 sounds. But if you're smart enough, you can create a variety of sounds, and there's a lot to explore. And this always, fascinates me every time I start playing. This is a synthesizer to my right. We just call it a drum pad, for the lack of a better word. We can store sounds and samples in it, and when you strike it, you have sounds coming out of the pad. This is what you call a splash. A lot of drummers use it. I use it because it's it's made out of very thin plate brass, and it's easy on my hand. I'm not very fluent with my sticks as a drummer would be. I'm a hand percussionist, so this is easier to play. It reacts pretty well to my hands. This is a hand snare, again, that I got made where the rim is actually lower so that it doesn't hurt when I strike it. And as for the backing track, what you will be hearing is a combination of a lot of music making techniques, some of which are called sampling, some of which is called frequency modulation, some of which is called granular synthesis, some of which is called, just basically live looping. You take a loop, you understand what you want to do with it. It could be a 4-bar, 6-bar loop in a certain tempo, and then you say, okay, I'm just going to run this and see what I can live perform. And I essentially am a live performer who also started gathering production techniques and started becoming a producer. And so a lot of my work revolves around ways and means to marry these. So a lot of what I do is, is trying to find the balance between a healthy backing and virtual soundscape, let's put it that way. Something that is pre-made, something that is pre-produced, and something that can be played right in front of all of you, and that retains the freshness, I'd like to think, because every time I play it's different. And the beauty is to keep or create a playground for yourself and run wild. I hope you guys enjoy this. Thank you so much for having me, Bharat. Thank you so much for having me, KRIA. Francis, you want to do a line check before we start? Can you mute the PA? I'm just going to play. Check, check. I was supposed to be doing this while I was talking to you. You can now understand I'm not a great multitasker.
What an incredible performance. Thank you so much. To officially conclude, I now invite Mr. Nawod Prasannan, partner at KRIA Law, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Varnisha. What an afternoon. A great way to get to our evening. We started off with a wonderful thought by the founder of our firm, Ms. Bharat, that we are ready to pay for an Apple phone, but not for the music. It says that the left-hand side of the brain, which controls the logic, is what the lawyers use, and the right-hand side of the brain, which is what the artists use. And today we see a combination of both the sides of the brains trying to protect music. Before I thank everyone present here, as well as the sponsors, let's see what was the greatest takeaways from each of these sessions. There was a brilliant statement from our justice that woman has to be brought more in and to be protected, that it is the public that brings in the popularity to the music. So it is a great way of encompassing that rather than the music or the artist, primarily it is the public that has to be aware that they give the music its power. So therefore, the decentralization of the power into the public is a major component. That was a great takeaway that we had today. There's also one great statement that music is an artist's baby. We have to protect it. It not only becomes the realm of law to protect it, it is as consumers of the music that as public we come in to protect it. It is long gone days where we have CD drives where we used to copy music, where we had Winamp music to play free music. Now it's a different digital era. And there was a lot of interesting talks as to how it could be done. The primary takeaway other was that the independent artist, how to empower them. 3 important questions brought in. One, that they also need the right to copy. What they create, how it can be protected. And primarily, where does the music stand in with respect to independent artists. Very good takeaways that we had in the conversations. Thereafter, we had an interesting topic on how AI plays a major role. Interesting that as of today, we are seeing only the baby part of AI. We still do not know where it is going to develop into. We do not know one day the large language model can have the music powers of A. Rahman combined into Mozart, into a percussionist, and then to say, create music and can be original music that come out. But we are in the altars of where AI is changing the rules and games. We have to run and adapt to it. And then we had one another great session in which the licensing parts was talked about. Primarily, everything is about commerce these days. That's what, when the money rules, you go with where the money goes. And interestingly, it was said that it's the money that can govern and how it can take care. So the licensing part where how an artist will be paid, how a music producer will be paid, how a person who's involved in the process will be paid, the intricacies of it, how IPRS, how different societies, how MSCI comes in, has all been discussed, has how been brought to our knowledge. The part of a discussion was how do we get enlightened, because we now need to take the dialogue forward. And the dialogue has been set forth. We had brilliant musical events as of today by both the artists. I need not say anything because I am lost of words to explain how brilliant it was. I don't remember I have had a Saturday afternoon in which I did not feel sleepy for a single second. So that goes for it. I will now come to thanking our sponsors. The live performance partner, Mangaldeep ITC Limited, our industry partners, IPRS, SIMCA, MCAI, ISMARE, and TFFPA. Our presenting partners, Naturals and Comoran Silks. Our supporting partners, Tamil Matrimony and Mehta Jewelry, Junior Kupanna, Brand Avatar, Indiska Magic, and Annapurna. Our knowledge partners, LM Exams, Turnkey Music and Publishing Private Limited, Musi Musical. Our radio partner, 94.3, Radio 1 International. Our travel partner, Forza. Our print media partner, D1, the Odds and Events Company. Online media partner, Galatta Media. Our photography partner, Moonstruck by Karthik Srinivasan. I thank all and everyone who is present here, who have taken out their valuable time to be present among here, to not just be part of the event, but to start this dialogue, how copyright can protect not only the music artists, how do we become a part to protect who makes us hear this music and create music. Thank you, everyone. Yeah. It's always that you forget our own. It's been crazy in our office since for last 2 weeks. The planning, the replanning, the minutest of details. It's difficult to take the names, but the team has done a brilliant job. You know, in law college, we say that neither they do teach us law and neither do teach us how to make money out of law. So leave alone planning. So kudos to all the young members of our chapter, of our firm who have made this great. You know, I don't think there has been any lapse into any of the event today. So KRIA Law and family, brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for your time. We have a networking reception right outside for all of you to join us. Please do join us. Thank you so much.